Okay, we're just about ready to move into the first item on our program. And for that, I'm going to call upon the acting president of Central Gauteng Athletics, Ms. Karabo Mabilo, to give us a message of support. Perfect. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Debo, for getting my surname right for the first time. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to everybody. I stand before you. Firstly, maybe let me acknowledge the board members that are here present today. Ms. Maggie Dix, Mr. Mfuneko Joko, Mr. Job Juweni. Sorry about that. Mr. Juweni, and thank you for the invitation, sir, to you and your commission members. Thank you for requesting that I come this morning to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand here before you and I'm quite pleased and excited, although the room is not full as I anticipated. But I think I'm very pleased and excited that you took your time today and made it here. There's a lot of other things that you could be doing, of course. But I think for me, it says a lot about what you want for the province. I see a lot more leaders than I see athletes. And I think for me, that's very important. What we are trying to do, I think you can see in terms of the messaging today, working together to achieve excellence. I think what we're trying to do as CGA is to show that we are moving together in the same trajectory. We're trying to move away from the perception that we are scattered. I think we need to move away from working in silos and let's start working together because we all want the same thing, and that thing is the development of athletes. It's pointless for us to convene meetings, all these other meetings, and be excited together when we forget the imperative fundamentals of why we are here at CGA. CGA is all about athletes. If we don't have athletes and if we don't look at the upliftment and the development of athletes, we will not have an organization. So I urge that in everything that happens to do, lest we forget that we need to develop athletes. And how do we develop those athletes? We need to find money, we need to find resources. Your responsibility here today is to help us to find those resources to be able to take CGA forward. The second thing that is extremely important, perhaps one of the most fundamental things, is the protection of athletes. It is important that we remember that the little child that leaves home every day and goes out and tries to excel in their talent, they are looking up to us to protect them. So I urge you, Mr. Juweni, and your commission members, to not forget that one of the most fundamental things is to ensure that our athletes are protected. I personally do not care how popular you are as a leader in athletics. If you are not here for that, you have lost your core vision. We need to protect the girl child. It is extremely important. We have a problem in athletics. Our little girls are not protected. We need to protect the girl child. Coaches, you cannot touch children the way you touch them. You need to be careful how you touch little girls. Even boys are affected how you speak to those children. Children cannot leave their homes trying to excel in their athletes, in their talent, and they come here and they get traumatized. The children cannot look at us as leaders, sit here and we have our KFCs there, but children are starving. Let us change our mindset. We need to be able to say, let us share in our food. I am not going to lie to you and say, I like the fact that children leave home. Some children leave home as late as 6 o'clock. They come and train with us as late as 6 in the evening, hungry. What is the purpose that we are trying to drive as leaders? Ladies and gentlemen, I beg of you, please don't separate yourself from the board and say the board has got a job to go find money and do whatever. It is our responsibility to make sure that we provide transport, we provide protection. Protection is very vast. It includes making sure that those children are not starving. It includes those children not being sexually molested, sexually assaulted in any way. I beg of you to remember that it should cut deep inside of us. If you see a girl child being molested, if you see a guy or hear any guy making comments about a girl's body, it's unacceptable. We need to stop. So this commission is bigger than all of us. It is the Athletes Commission. The role of the Athletes Commission member, yourselves included, is to protect all these children. So when we leave here today, don't forget your biggest responsibility. And let's do this thing together. I am begging that we start working together. When we make mistakes, come and direct us. Tell me, Karabo, you are making, you are losing direction, come back, because we have a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that we conduct ourselves correctly. Governances and controls are in place, financial controls are in place, and the protection of all our athletes is in place. I thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karabo. Touching on very important issues there, one of them being protecting the athlete, especially the girl child. One of the fundamental roles of the Athletes Commission is to make sure that the athletes' voices are heard and also that they are considered in decision makings of the organization. And for that reason, I'm going to call upon Lebogang Palula Lutuli to come and introduce the commission members and also outline the roles of each and every commission member.
Thank you, Lebogang.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to stand before you today at this important athlete open meeting. My name is Lebogang Palula Lutuli, and my role here is to introduce the Athlete Commission and its members. However, before I begin, let me take this moment to acknowledge and extend my warmest greeting to our program director, Ms. Karabo Mabilo, the acting president, board members, commission, and counseling members present, our esteemed presenters, our guests, and the most stakeholders of all athletes. We are here today under the theme, working together to achieve the excellence, which reflects the committee of the CGA Athletes Commission to ensure that every athlete is supported, empowered, and given the best opportunity to excel in their activity, sports discipline. Role of the Commission. The Athlete Commission plays a crucial role in ensuring that athletes' voices are heard and represented at all levels of decision making within the province. Our key responsibilities: advocating for rights of the athletes within the province to ensure the fair treatment, promoting a fair, ethical, and safe environment for the athletes, advising and educating athletes for the rules regulation governing athletics, saving and communication links between the athletes and the province, offering support to athletes during the competition events to enhance performance well-being, introduction of the athlete commissions. The success of the athlete commission is driven by the dedicated team. Each contribute their excitants and different areas of the athlete development and governance. I'm pleased to introduce these following members. May the following members, when I introduce them, please stand up so that you people can know them. Chairperson Zongomela Dubeni. This is our chairperson if anyone doesn't know him. His roles represent the commission in the board. He provides strategic direction and oversight, collaborate with the commission committee and the CGA legends. Our lead comer, Lebu Palula, she's not here, focuses on the track and field and race walking, represents and leads the women committee. Mpho Mabuza, she oversees the development and the cross-country and masters athletics. To to ensure grassroots development programs are implemented effectively. Ms. Brenda Moloren. She served as a secretary, handling and administration and communication. She focused on the social athlete wellness and the road running, working closely with the technical team committee. Last but not least, the deputy chairperson, Lebogang Padula, myself. I'm responsible of opening meetings and workshops, focuses on elite athlete wellness and ensuring their concerns are addressed. Engage with the athletes coaches committee to align training and program development. Each of these individuals brings a wealth and experience, passion of athletes working together to ensure that athletes receive the necessary support and guidance to thrive in their respective field. In my closing, I want to emphasize that Athletes Commission is here for you, athletes. Our role is to serve a bridge between you and the governing body, ensuring that needs, concern, and aspiration are taken into account in all decision making. We look forward to engage with you throughout today's program and beyond as we continue to working together to achieve the excellence in athletes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and let us have the productive meeting and fight one. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lebogang. Definitely never misses an opportunity to be humorous there, as I know her. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Now that we have broken the ice, for me especially, as a program director at the beginning, we were a little bit nervous, but that's not the case anymore. The ice has been broken. All right, before I go to the next speaker, there's times allocated for each and every speaker. So I will monitor the time very closely and just to the speakers, if you see me with some body language or with 5 minutes to go, I'll just raise my hand and say, then you know you have 5 minutes and it's time to wrap up. And we will also be taking some questions from the audience, and we'll also allow a bit of questions from our live streaming on our Facebook page. Please let your friends know and watch and send any questions. I'm sure this is not a full representation of the athletes in Central Gauteng, so those that could not make it, I'm sure they can still check all the action of the day from the live broadcast on Facebook only. This time it's not on YouTube, it's only on Facebook. All right, everyone involved in athletics has a role to play in actively preventing abuse, harassment, and exploitation from happening. And those are the words that I extracted from the World Athletics website. There's a whole section dedicated to safeguarding there. If you find some time, please check it out. I believe there's also a free course that they offer there for safeguarding. While on the topic of safeguarding, it's a topic that is very important, and it's very good that Central Gauteng is hammering on this topic, because we had the same topic 2 weeks ago or so at the team managers workshop. And to present that, I'm going to call upon Spiwe Skosana to come and tell us a little bit more about safeguarding in athletics. Is it about
The question.
Good morning. It will be about the athletes, because we are at this meeting about athletes. I'm just asking that we get to know, not through minutes, but in this present, in this group, the clubs that are represented. If the Central Gauteng Athletics has got X number of clubs, athletic clubs, representing various disciplines, at least in the same way that the commission has been introduced, we may not introduce ourselves individually, but roll call of clubs, it reflects what the commission represents. So we are doing the clubs introduced as well. Thank you.
I will ask the ladies outside to give me a register. I do not have those stats with me, but that is actually why we also take a register, so that at the end of the day, the office will be able to know and tell who was representing which club at meetings like this. But during the course of the program for today, I will highlight or introduce the clubs that are represented here today. And thanks for that point. Spirit, over to you.
Thanks for the director. My name is Pius Kosana, and I'm the Development Officer of Central Gauteng Athletics. So my task today will be just to give a presentation regarding safeguarding, which I'm hoping that by now we're all aware of safeguarding or have the certificate. Safeguarding is slowly but surely coming to effect in South Africa, and it's wise that we get acquainted with it. If you allow me that, in between the presentation, we take questions, since it's an open meeting. So I'm not saying I'll have the answers, but then we can engage on some of the slides that I'm going to present. Just starting off, the presentation was shared to us by the Ekurhuleni Sports Council. So unfortunately they couldn't be here, but then I'll just be presenting what on the slides. Going to the second slide, it's basically the definition of safeguarding, which is a term used to measure, to protect the health, well-being, and human rights of individuals, which especially goes to young athletes, the vulnerable adults, to ensure that they live free from abuse, harm, or negligence. So basically, safeguarding is to protect every individual within the sports, whether you're an administrator, an athlete, coach, safeguarding policy applies to all. Going to the next slide, it's what is a DSO. So a DSO is, the definition of it is a designated safeguarding officer. I think CGA is yet to appoint a DSO who will look into the issues of safeguarding, but then he was advised that we need to go to that path and appoint a DSO. And it was also advised that CGA will need to formulate their own safeguarding policy. I think currently we've adopted the one from SASCOG. In extension, we also adopted the one that came from Athletics South Africa, which is the motherboard. Then moving right along, so the DSO will be assisting with the responsibilities in terms of safeguarding of athletes, coaches, and stakeholders. I think it's fitting that we have this at this open meeting because the CGA Athletes Commission is for the athletes, and obviously being for the athletes, they also need to ensure that the athletes are treated well and they are safe, which speaks to what safeguarding is. Then moving on to the next slide, it says there are 3 elements of safeguarding, which is safeguarding, prevention, and response. Just going in detail to that, safeguarding is how we both prevent bad things happening to children and vulnerable athletes in our care. And how we respond to that when we think someone might be at risk. So it's purely preventing and the response to if we notice that someone is being harmed or abused within the sports, to be specific within athletics. And then the prevention of it is how we understand the risk and put measures in place to stop the children and athletes in our care from experiencing harm. So that's where your DSO comes in to ensure that there's a framework in place. And as I was saying, the CGA policy in place, which will assist to have measures in place in terms of prevention of abuse or harm. And then the response, what do we do when we think someone in our care is at risk or experiencing harm? So the protocol of this would be if we have a DSO, the DSO will take charge of that. And if it's fitting according to the case, then obviously we do have our DC committee that will take over if it's fitting. Then moving to the next slide, it's safety versus safeguarding. So the definition of safety put here is the condition of being protected from or unlikely to cause danger, risk, or injury. And then the definition of safeguarding there is safeguarding is a term used to denote measures to protect the health, well-being, and human rights of individuals, which allow people, especially children, young people, and vulnerable athletes to be free from abuse, harm, and neglect. So safeguarding versus safety. In summarization, the cause of safety implicated by the rules and regulations that govern each sporting code. The example put here is for cricket. We have rules that state that batsmen must wear protective gear, such as a helmet to prevent any physical harm. Then safeguarding deals more with policies put in place to reduce the chances of harm or abuse to our athletes that fall outside the rules and regulations of athletics. And then moving right along, what is poor practice? Practices are known to be significant risk factors in cases of abuse that can never be condoned. This example is when a coach and a child athlete texting late at night without the inclusion of one of the child's parents, which is also a red flag in terms of the coaches and young athletes. I think the term used here is grooming, which is not allowed. When you take advantage of a young athlete and grooming that athlete so that you can take advantage of the athlete when the athlete is now groomed, which is not allowed, and the policies put in place for that. And then so that's poor practice. And next slide is what is abuse. Abuse, the definition is using something to bad effect or for a bad purpose. Misuse, treat with cruelty or violence, especially regularly or repeatedly. So here we're given 4 types of abuse addressed in the safeguarding course. Neglect, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and emotional abuse. And then the relevance of those of safeguarding with the government acts, the following the DSO will need to know, which is highlighted in the next slide. There's the Sexual Offences Amendment Act, Children's Act, Child Care Amendment Act, Domestic Violence, Films and Publication Act, which now is also goes to the POPI Act, Code of Good Practice on Sexual Harassment, Protection of Harassment, Policy and Procedures Manuals. So in effect, the appointed DSO will need to know this act and know which act to to use applicable to the offense that might have occurred. Then the next slide speaks to what is expected from the DSO from the Federation. So, as I highlighted earlier, from CGA's point of view, we need to formulate our own safeguarding policy, organized to have the DSO to police that policy. So the DSO will be in charge of that policy to ensure that that policy is implemented. Then it also states anonymous reporting systems as a vehicle to report poor practice or abuse without being victimized or stigmatized. So this speaks to the protection. For example, if a young athlete comes to you that my coach or my senior athlete did this to me, then the DSO will need to provide protection to that athlete, and by all means, not put it within the public eye. Then the next slide is communication. The next point is communication. In terms of the letters, post, flyers, anything to alert athletes and coaches that it's a tool placed in the federation. So that speaks to, publicizing the safeguarding policy. So as I said, CGA is trying to put it out there that there is such a thing as safeguarding, and that athletes should feel free to report any harmful abuse that they might have encountered, and as I said, we must prioritize the protection of that athlete that has brought this case or the abuse forward. Then personal requirements of the DSO would be to check, so this will go to all the members within athletics. We need to check the members against the sexual offense register, child protection register, and criminal check. So that will need to be done by the DSO of the members within the athletics. Then members will need to, once we have that framework in place, sign that declaration, as well as the code of ethic. As I said, it states as safeguarding awareness certificate. So currently at CGA, we've adopted the World Athletics Safeguarding course, which takes about an hour, 10 minutes to complete. It's free of charge. You just have to log on to the World Athletics website and open an account there where you will be able to complete that safeguarding course, and upon completion you will receive the certificates, of which I know some members have already sent to the office, so that we keep it on the register. Then the next slide speaks to the other topics that's under the umbrella of safeguarding is bullying, cyberbullying, which can go onto the social media platforms such as X as well as Facebook, understanding sexual predators, child pornography, the term that I just explained, grooming, sexual harassment, dealing with undisclosed poor practices or abuse. So those are just one of the elements that are also under the umbrella of safeguarding that the DSO will look and try to address. So the last slide in summary, so here it speaks about the courses that are available, but as I said, we as CGA have adopted the World Athletics course for now, and I think CGA, while putting in place the safeguarding policy that will speak to CGA, and we do urge all athletes, coaches to go to the World Athletics website and do that safeguarding course, and we would appreciate if you can also just share the certificates. And I think once we have that safeguarding framework in place, it's going to be mandatory that everyone does the safeguarding course and shares the certificate. That's it for me.
Thank you so much, Spirit. In actual fact, as of yesterday, the government released a list of criminal offenders, which makes it easy for us and the province to vet, people, especially those that are tasked with looking after the athletes, especially the female athletes. Before I carry on, allow me to welcome the member of the Athletes Commission, Lebo Padula Mzazi, and also I see the other board members that have joined us late. Natenale, you're welcome. And also, as I'm sure you've seen on the program, that there is an item there for the introduction of legends, induction of legends, and also there's going to be programs that are going to be introduced today in as far as the legends are concerned. So allow me to also welcome the legends that have joined us today, and we can take some questions from the floor in as far as safeguarding is concerned. Any questions? Come on, guys. This is a hot topic meeting, Mama. I'll come back to you. I would expect, some engagement and some questions from the floor.
Will the clubs be compelled to have DSO at the club level, where this is the source and it should be a source for support?
Yeah, no, the clubs will be encouraged to also have their safeguarding officer within the club. And as I said, once we have the CGA policy in place, then we'll start, rolling out the safeguarding. Obviously, you'll appoint a DSO, and the DSO will be brought in and be given the guidelines in terms of safeguarding to go back to the club and enforce such guidelines.
Are you happy, Mama, with the answer?
Thank you. The Chair, I just want to check in terms of the safeguarding. It's already, for example, been implemented in other sporting codes. One of the things in discussions, because I work with the schools specifically, many schools adopt, I could call it coaches from community who would be ex-runners or current runners, but without any certification. And one of the issues we raised was to say, can we observe what is already happening in sport generally and safeguarding? But I've seen in athletics, it seems to have not started. And that's where we have a big engagement. So my question is, if there are people coming from other sporting codes, but who also want to participate in athletics coaching, can they use those safeguarding certificates from other sporting codes in athletics? That's one of the questions, please.
I'd like to believe that there wouldn't be a problem in that, because, as I said, in South Africa we basically work under the one framework which comes from SASCOC. So from that framework, all sporting codes will obviously develop their own, but they're in line with that framework of safeguarding. So whether you come from soccer, it's more or less the same thing and speaks to the same thing of safeguarding. So I wouldn't see a problem in that, but as I said, currently World Athletics one is free of charge, so I would encourage for such coaches to also look into that.
Just to add on that, from the previous event that CGA had, the team managers workshop, there was a representative from the Ekurhuleni Sports Council, right, Spiwe, and one of the things that he said is that all the sporting codes will be required to have a safeguarding policy in place. And he also encouraged that everyone must do the course. And at some point he said it will be compulsory for team managers to be able to produce the certificate for the course. So eventually it applies to all the sporting codes. Do we have more questions?
I just want to ask if I could share my experience, but not in detail. Okay. I've had the experience of not just once, a lot of times in the field of athletics, of being abused, and emotionally, mentally, and physically. As in, never mind. And the other thing is that I have a mental illness, so I'm very vulnerable, and I can speak on behalf of girls because my brain works like a child, and I can't understand what is going on when it's happening, and being screamed at in public. It only affects me. It's damaging for my mental health, and sorry. I just want to say that it's huge. I don't know about any other sport, but in athletics, I've never experienced so much abuse from men, and it's been terrible. I have to say, but I can't believe it, but it's real. And the men, the way I've experienced men is that they don't like women to speak back to them. And I'm very cheeky because I'm small and because I don't like people bullying me, because it's happened all my life. I stand up for myself, and when I do, I get attacked even more. And I've had the experience of where there's been disciplinary hearings or attempted disciplinary hearings or threatened disciplinary hearings where I've been kicked out. I've been thrown out as a coach out of the school, and nothing's been done to the man who was perpetrating. And I really worry about that in this athletics.
That's good.
Thank you for sharing this story. But also remember to report any matters, you know. I don't know, I mean, safeguarding is a new thing, but there's always been a disciplinary committee at Central Gauteng. So unless you talk about your story, no one is gonna know, you know. And there is the right channels to follow. Do that. Don't be scared. You might be not just helping yourself, but also helping the next person. I'll take a question from the bench. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, all.
Morning.
Mine, I'll start, is not a question. Firstly, what I will do, I like us all clap hands for CGA. It's the best progress because of coming with this issue of safeguarding. People, they were afraid to start, but CGA, they show us that they are the leaders, and then they start this. The issue of safeguarding, it never started today. It is there at World of Athletics. It is there at ASA. And then when it starts here at CGA, we know that the province, we have ladies who are running, we have ladies who are performing very good. And then we get surprises that the athletes, in few years to come, we don't see them. But because of they were not safeguarded and all that, that is the reason they disappear. So, with this issue, also when you are going to do vetting for the people and all that, I think you need a committee. On that committee, it must not do favoritism, especially if you know childcare. If, let's say, you investigate and you get a girl child, cannot be punished without favor, regardless of what, because of destroying the future of CGA, the future of ASA. So it's just only a comment. And then When you work with the police, I just want to give you something that is going to be tough. There are companies that, let's say they are doing police clearance. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, the police clearances is where we have people that will come with my police clearance and then saying that I don't have any criminal record. And then if you go back and check, you'll find that I've been served. I've been served for years and years. But because of corruption in this country, my name is no longer appearing on the roll. We should check on that because of the majority of criminals. They saw a gap on our sports and they are coming in our sports. They cannot go to soccer, they cannot go to cricket because of their rules they are being followed. Thanks, CGA.
Would you like to respond, comment? Okay, let me start with the commission members. Sorry, for the purpose of audibility on the Facebook page, we're going to use this mic, but it's not connected to the speakers. It's only so that the people that are watching can hear clearly. They can hear.
Oh, okay. No, thank you very much, and thank you, Spiwe, for that presentation. I will then request as you, the office, to maybe email it to all the clubs present and not present, so that they could then know what that entails. But also with that, I think we need to agree on guidelines and time frames in terms of when should everyone be should complete the certificate, which is free. So we don't come back here and continue to be saying everybody needs to have it, everybody needs to have it. So can we then agree on timelines? Similarly, agreeing on timelines, general manager, as to the process to appoint a DSO. So we start the process rolling. On Chauke's issue or proposal or recommendation on setting up another committee, I don't think that would be a good idea, because we currently do have Athletes Commission, and then also a women's committee, I think, and coaches committee. I think we just need to streamline the work that those committees and commissions do, so that we don't find ourselves, repeating and having toothless committees and commissions, but streamline the work of those current existing committees. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. B. Any other comment from the commission? If not, I'll give to Sipiwe to close it.
Thanks for the pointers. Just to also highlight that CGA has already started with the phasing out of safeguarding. Currently, all technical officials, all coaches, affiliated coaches, and those committees and commissions have to have that certificate. I think the deadline was already last year in September. As I said, once the DSO is appointed, then the phasing out onto the clubs will commence. Obviously, the clubs will need to appoint their own DSOs, and then they'll have those engagements with the provincial DSO. Also, then the policy will need to be amended and developed by CGA in phasing out the safeguarding. Just to also highlight that once we have a DSO, there are some issues that won't necessarily even go to the DC committee. Some will have to go straight to reported to the police as required by law. As I said, the DSO will need to be in tune with the various acts by the government and enforce them accordingly if needs be.
Thank you very much. We're doing very well in terms of time. If there's any more, one question I will allow.
I just want to comment that if you are selected to be part of a team management, going with a team, you will not be on that team unless you have a safeguarding certificate. Thank you.
There we have it.
I think another thing that we need to remember, and I like what Chauke said, we need to move away from the notion that when a child comes and reports that something has happened, let's stop sweeping things under the carpet and having a discussion with the supposed perpetrator. Sexual offense, sexual assault, any sort of, when a child comes to you and tells you something like this has happened, you cannot have a discussion between you and the perpetrator. You have to report it. And CGA can only do the disciplinary process, but it's a criminal offense. So we have to report that matter. But another important factor, which is something that we need to implement, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a problem of just looking at people and just because I like you, I will nominate you for a position in CGA. We need to move away from that. There's processes that we must follow. There's vetting. Why are we not vetting our people correctly? We need to be having those processes implemented. As much as I may like you, Tebogo, if there's something about Tebogo that I've heard, right? She cannot be there. She cannot be serving and working with children. We need to do our homework. We cannot plead ignorance all the time and say, but we didn't know, we didn't check your criminal matter. Sometimes the criminal justice system, as said, is very slow, that we wouldn't know that your name is on the sexual register, the sexual offences register. But it is our responsibility, Mr. Khatebe, Spiwe, commission members, and any other of leaders, we need to be implementing processes of vetting and taking away people. We will not be, unfortunately, this is not a business of friendships. We need to be protecting those children. It is not fair today that we've got a person that is sitting amongst us who's traumatized forever, who is traumatized forever. Girl children fall away. We are lucky to still have maybe the Palula twins that are still in sports, maybe that are bold enough to stop any people that would want to abuse them. But what about the up and coming that are not confident, that are not bold enough, that cannot speak for themselves? What is our responsibility? We need to start taking charge. I don't think it's correct. We also need to implement processes in the Athletes Commission where there has been a person who's traumatized. How do we help them over and above that? How do we then get into the space of the psychological effects? How do we assist those people? We need to be having those committees that can help, or we've got doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists that can help. What is our responsibility to ensure the protection of athletes? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karabo. And if there is no any more questions, we will move to the next topic. Don't exercise your authority on me, okay, Mr. Chairperson? I'm closing, and then when you come up.
Oh, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Sorry for dragging you back. What I need to stress, this is a commission. We are the representative of athletes. As long as you have your license, and don't hesitate, if there is anything, even if it's a little thing, to contact one of the commission members for transparency reasons. Whatever thing that is bothering anyone, we are here for you. We don't want to hear stories after 3 years, something like this happened, then it was dealt with in a particular corner. So that's why we have Athletes Commission here at Central Gauteng Athletics, number one. Then number two, I'm going to touch on something that Abode has mentioned. This commission, we are going to the right direction, whereby even these coaching that are being employed in schools, hence we have legends, we have invited legends to be part of this meeting. We are going to the direction whereby the schools, if they want to hire coaches, at least they interact with someone who knows those particular coaches, to avoid something that people will take the ex-offenders to their schools because the HOD or whoever that is isn't that school knows that particular parent. So this is the direction that we're trying to move in so that we can cap all these things. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Songs. I will now move to the next item on the program. As I mentioned earlier on, it's one that's very close to my heart, and I'm one of those who believe that a lot needs to be done. I don't know, I feel intimidated because you are a board member. I don't know whether to say no to you, but I'll give you the opportunity.
Sanibonani, and thanks to everyone, and thanks to the Athletic Commission for allowing us to be part of the event. I'm just speaking to the initiative by Oprenda, speaking about the committees in terms of way forward, to say what is it that you guys are going to do. And he spoke even to the GM to say what is going to be the way forward. So I thought there's going to be a way forward indicated on that checklist in terms of engaging the three committees. To say from now on, in terms of these issues, the checkability, is everyone having the required document to be able to work within the athletics framework. And then secondly, we haven't spoken to the issue of reporting. I hear that we're speaking to incidents, but we should be saying where do we support this? Where do we report these incidents? Because these matters are very delicate. We happen to be, in the midst of children, and a lot is happening. And it's a miss that we don't address these issues. But thanks that it's been brought forward. My input would be to say, can we say the office should be responsible for taking complaints so that the matter should be dealt with within a certain period of time because of the urgency and the delicacy of the matter. So my input would be, can we say in this meeting, any reports that has to do with whatever, be it sexual harassment, I'm taken abreast by the complainant that has spoken, but we haven't said, is it lodged? Is she being advised to say, can we make a follow-up so that she can be assisted? So in such sessions, we should be confirming to say, yes, can we take the matter forward and allow her maybe to complain? Remember, these complaints are forever, till they are being addressed. So my input would be, can we give a thumbs up to say the office will be responsible for the complaints? The commissions, there will be a way of saying commissions should be dealing with these matters so that we cannot have a rogue structure as well, so that it shouldn't exist. If we commit, it should be then committed to say going forward we know who to deal with. They'll then be giving people that will be dealing with these cases. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Belale.
Okay, I think we'll.
Thank you so much, Tatelal. I think in our meeting in January, and we were talking about the issue of female athletes. We then agreed that we need to engage the coaches committee, development committee, women's committee together with the athletes committee so that we get to talk about all the issues that are on the table. So that is still to happen, and I think Chairperson Zongamele was going to drive that initiative. But on the issue of the reporting, I think until such time the DSO is appointed, the correct way of doing it, yes, would be to direct any of those complaints to the office, and then the office must then, determine which committee or commission is best fitted to deal with a particular matter. But we need to move away from just having these reported. And I like the issue of vetting, because vetting does not only apply to the athletes and the coaches, but it should also apply to the office. Because if I report a matter in the office about somebody that is a friend of a office bearer, what are the chances of that complaint, being dealt with and dealt with fairly? So those are some of the things that we need to look into. The office must take those complaints, but they must immediately decide which committee is best fitted, and then that must go there, and then, I think that way the wheels will move and will move faster and in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will close that item for now. If time allows, we will get back to it. As far as participation of female athletes in the province as well as nationally, where do we come from? Where are we going? And what are we doing about the decline or lack of, for lack of a better word? And to give us some insight on that, I would like to call upon Mr. Richard Meyer. He's been around for a very, very long time. I'm sure he will tell you how long he's been involved in athletics, probably longer than every one of us here. Mr. Meyer, please come forward, and he's going to present to us about the female athletes' participation. And I'm sure he'll touch on both the province and nationally.
Thank you very much. Do you want both? Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. I just want to thank everyone for the invitation, particularly the Athletes Committee. I'd like to acknowledge the Vice President of CGA and Mr. Khadebi of the office, and all athletics personalities, people, the athletics family here. I'm also very pleased to see my old friend Mr. Simi in the corner there. I think you might even see some pictures of some of the people in the room here as I do my presentation. So if I can have that next slide there, Sipiwe. This year is the most decorated female athlete in history, and this is the goal, I think, to which we strive if we look at the elite part of the sport. But if you look at this picture of her in her glory at, I don't know if that's one of the Olympics, World Championships, one doesn't realize the amount of slog and effort that goes in behind that achievement. And I think the point to be made is that Alison Felix is part of a pyramid. And I think I must confess to all of you that I come to you in all humility, because the decline in female participation in this country is a failing of which we must all be responsible. And I'd like to just endorse what Ms. Mabilo said about working together, because a couple of thoughts came to me as I prepared this presentation last night. And it struck me that one of the important points is this old African proverb that it takes a village to raise a child. I think it takes an athletics community to raise a champion. But it's not only about champions, it's about participation, it's about numbers, it's about enjoyment and inclusivity. And as I did my presentation, it was a bit like, I don't know, when you have the dog run out the gate and you just can't catch him or her. I couldn't find any silver bullet, any one thing that could solve this problem. But I think the problem is as complex as South African society. The complexity of the challenges that we face as a society, the diversity, the various challenges from a socio-economic point of view, from a political point of view, from a gender point of view. And my point would be that we can't always look to the government or to CGA or to our club to solve the problem. I think the starting point must be ourselves as athletics figures, as coaches, as athletes, as administrators. And the point I want to make is we must try and be the change that we want to see in the world. That famous Gandhi quote. And I was actually coaching this morning, as I do 9 o'clock every Saturday morning, and it was a bit wet and raining. And I was quite excited because the first 3-4 athletes that did arrive were all girls. And then eventually the men achieved parity at about half an hour down from start time. So I think I'm doing something a little bit right where I'm working, but there's such a long way to go. But I think the point is we must pull together and develop some kind of a plan. So I've got a picture there of someone relaxing, but unfortunately we do need to have a plan. So that famous Zig Ziglar quote, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. So even if the plan is underdeveloped, it's inadequate, as long as there's a plan, you can always refine, you can move forward. But we must have a strategy, be it in our own personal lives, in our clubs, in our province, in our national federation. We must try and have a plan to address this. I think for me, if one put the problem and the solution in its essence, it's to create that enabling environment for women athletes, that protective environment. And there's this famous book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers. And one of his points is that you need to spend 10,000 hours to achieve anything great. And that would apply to athletes as well. And the most important thing is we have a very good competitive environment at CGA. There are lots of events, but I think we must drill down to the grassroots, to that interface between the coach and the athlete, the club and the athlete. What facilities, what opportunities are available where that athlete is found, be it in a rural area, in a township, a suburb, in Hillbrow. And its most important probably building block of CGA is the club. So it starts with the club. And within the club, you do need to have a coach. There are lots of clubs that might have a comrades demographic. They run comrades, but there's no coach to produce the young athletes who will come through and become champions. And I think of the centrality of the coach, and I'm so excited here to see Mike see me here. I remember, Mike, when in my day, the only elite athletes who were black African women athletes, there was Lydia Mafula from Lekoa Club in the Vaal, and there was Jamina Seswa. I think she became president of Kagiso Athletics Club. And then you started producing all those champions. And I mean, we've got Mpo here, there was Victoria Oliphant, there was Poppy Mlambo, and without Mike, those young athletes would have not come through. So I'd just like to give an applaud to one of the legends of our sport here. I also think of a very special person as well, and we are speaking to Val here, and the fact that Hans Seystert is, I think he's still coaching at 4 and 2, but he's not headmaster or principal, so he's not having the influence in the school that we'd like. But I look at the people here, and I mean, how many of them have been benefited from Hans, from the supportive and enabling environment that he provided to the athletes there. My friend Lungile Bikwani, I mean, also did fantastic work helping the Palulas and Violet Rasaboya and a whole host of other young female athletes, providing that infrastructure. And then my friend Marco Bukaritsa, just an anecdote, and it's always exciting to see there when you see the start of something which becomes very successful. I was sick and had flu. I missed the championships because I got flu the night before 2017. I remember Val said to me, "Oh, you won't be running today." CGA cross-country championships. And as I was sort of recovering with a slight fever, lying on the side of the sports track there where the cross-country athletes were going, Marco Bukaritsa was talking to Sean Okna and her mom about coaching her. And from that moment on, she went on an upward trajectory which took her to the Olympics. And the thing I want to share with you is, Sean is not an incredibly talented lady, but gee, she works hard. And I think what we can learn from that example, and Marco also had the one could say the humility, the good grace to feel that perhaps he had taken her so far, and then he passed her on to Coach George Bradley, who's taken her right to the Olympics and to enormous levels of self-fulfillment and self-actualization. And I think the point here is, I don't think we realize sometimes that with the talent that is amongst us, particularly young women, if they are given the right support and guidance, taking Sean as an example, if everyone fulfilled their potential as much as Sean, we would be very competitive and maybe challenging the East Africans. So I think it's very important as a coach, because if you have a coach-centered sport, you are going to have athletes. And this might be controversial, I've had this debate with certain people. I say, if you talk about elite sport, the most important person in the sport is not the athlete, it's the coach. Because if you have athletics, you'll always have athletes, but you won't always have champions. If you want champions, you need a coach. And the coach is the person who creates that environment for the athlete. He or she is the person who is hands-on, working with that athlete, supporting that athlete through the ups and downs, going to meetings, supporting that athlete when things go right, and being with the athlete when the support is needed at a big race or at a training session. And if I can just share one thing for you, and my friend Mike here and the other coaches will know this. You can be a good coach, but the most important thing is just plain old-fashioned slog and hard work. It's no good coaching the athlete fantastically if the athlete doesn't get to the race, or isn't entered in the race, or doesn't have the right shoes or equipment. Ultimately, it's a day in and day out slog, but when the results start showing and the impact starts being felt, the feeling as a coach, I felt far better as a coach when I see my athletes succeeding than I felt as an athlete myself, because you feel you're part of a greater whole, you're enriching someone else's life. So the point there is my great mentor and hero. I made friends with him, probably the greatest athletics coach of all time. That is the lesson. We need to make sure that our athletes are coached properly and structures are set up. And I know that Sapiwe, as the development officer, is very involved in that. But I think the goal for CGA is to try and bring more coaches into the sport, because coaching is a passion. It's like being an artist or a priest. It's not something that money can actually reward you for. You've got to actually love it so much and be so committed, because it's a thankless task, but if you do enjoy it, the rewards are huge. But the point is to bring more people into this church, into the Church of Athletics, and particularly coaching. I just want to share images of coaches. There's Arthur Lydiard, and there's my friend Lungile Bikwani, another great coach who's done well with, I assume, his daughter. So let's celebrate the coaches, and once again, to my friend or Mike, congratulations. So I think we must also not only focus on solutions, we must look at the challenges. And one of the problems we have in our sport, not only in this province but internationally, is that one has a short-term view in many coaches. I'm sorry to say it, if any school coaches are here, a lot of school coaches focus on the short term, the junior events, the school championships, etc., etc. The goal should be for all athletes that you achieve your potential when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, a long-term view, and run for life. You want athletes to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So I was with my youngsters this morning, and I said to them, I hope you will be running with me at my age when you are 40 years down the line. If you can still be running, you'll be healthy and happy, and that's what I wish for you. And my way of doing things is to empower people, so they know the routine. So if I'm not there and I'm late, they know how to warm up, etc., etc. And if I'm not there ever, if they move on, they've got a basically a toolkit or a plan that will take them through life. of course, we've got this problem of excessive pressure, and this is not a South African thing, it's a global thing. Parents, coaches, peers, they put pressure on young athletes. We have an issue of the kind of training that is applied to get short-term results, too much hard work too early, and too much intensity, too many reps around the track, vomiting at the end in extreme cases. And on a structural level, the problem that we have, and I don't know, Mr. Robert Rugg isn't here today as coaches committee, but he talks a lot about the fact that in CGA, what happens after that young girl leaves home and leaves school? There is a club structure, but we need to try and create more opportunities either through the professional clubs or work more closely with the tertiary institutions, and even issues like correctional services, the SA Defence Force, the police, to find places where athletes can be taken up and be able to develop a career while being a professional athlete as young people. Of course, the road running is a mixed blessing. It gives opportunities for competition, but unfortunately the prize money sometimes encourages young athletes to over race, and of course the family starts realizing the source of income and they're pressurized to race too much. And we've talked about safeguarding, but it's very important that the coach adopts a view of the athlete, that they're not only interested in the athlete's athletic performance, but their holistic development, because it's no good having an athlete who's training very hard but failing in school. And if that athlete is doing well holistically, the athletics will be even better. So it's very important to set your athletes on a course where they have a career in and out of the sport. I just also wanted to talk about the trajectory of a champion woman. I think particularly of Ilana Meyer. Ilana was being beaten in the early years of her career by someone called Stephanie Gerber, who was the under-13 champion. She was under 13, but she won the under-19 championships in Georgia in 1979. She was also beating Zola Budd and Tanya Peckham. But Ilana started coming through in her mid-teens and then went on to the greatest heights with an Olympic silver medal. But the point is that we push our young athletes too young. 16 is the age that you can start specializing, on my observation and in terms of a lot of studies. And I just want to share something. We've got Lebo and Lebogang here. They might remember Alyssa Rebello. Alyssa was much faster than Violet Rasaboya at the age of 15, 16, and then started fading, and Violet went on from strength to strength. So Alyssa came through too early, and that could be my fault. I might have to take the responsibility for that. But Violet went on to greater heights. So it's important that we ensure that coaches and ourselves as coaches ensure the right trajectory. And the thing I'd just like to acknowledge here, we've got Ms. Masetla here, Lebo and Lebogang, and other fine athletes. I just want to go back, Sapiwe, to that slide. The thing that we must all address is we saw Lebo and Lebogang and Mapaseka coming through, 10, 15 years ago. And I thought there was going to be floodgates of female black athletes and athletes of all backgrounds coming through after that. And we're still waiting. And I just don't know what happened. This is why I can't catch this dog. But it's something that we must address. And if we go to the next slide, I might have some ideas. I don't want to, it's not a coaching manual, but I think the important point here is gentle aerobic work, particularly as young athletes. You'll see, unfortunately, the guys from Run Alex are not here today. Ronnie from Run Alex, he's working very, very hard. They've got the most juniors and the most junior women in the province at the moment. And he asked me to just help him with some programs. This is something I gave to him, and you'll notice it's very light. The time to work hard comes at 16, 17. Superior, next slide, thanks. And it's a multifaceted problem with many ways of handling it, but one must start on a very simple level and develop a culture of athletics within clubs, within schools, within communities. And I think the most important thing is to encourage a culture of exercise. If we can make exercise something that is spread through the schools, and this is something we must work with the schools on, that you have more emphasis on running, just easy running within the life orientation periods, and dovetail with schools. I think we must try and do more to have twinning between clubs and schools, because that's where you have a captive audience. And I mean, I have had a lot of success at the Marlborough Gardens School where Marco Bucarizza used to coach, because the school supports what I'm doing. If all schools supported the coaches, we would have more success. And I think another aspect where we must hold hands is mentorship. I'm ready to mentor any coach, any athlete, and I'm sure many other coaches in the province are prepared to do that, but we must try and make it more systematic. And that's something that we can work on, Superior. And I think at some stage, both in our clubs, in our province, and in our community, we must try and have a mission statement to encourage women's participation. So in my particular club, we do have a culture where we support women, and it's just very gentle but firm interventions, such as whenever I pick relay teams, because the kids love relays, the captains who pick the teams are always women. And we have another policy that if there isn't enough space to get to a cross country, if it's a choice between a woman and a man, the woman goes first. I know it sounds a bit discriminatory, but I have a theory, and I mean, I'm sure all of us would probably agree with this. If you look after the woman in your club, in your society, the men will follow and look after themselves. So if you support women and make women central, and that's the policy in my club, and the women in general are on parity with men in terms of numbers. But it's hard work, and it's not an easy process. I've been there for 3 years, and it's still building. And I think we must make use. I mean, we've got some wonderful role models in this room. We must try and make use of them, both in my club. I'm going to ask some of the ladies here to come and speak to my young female athletes, to encourage them to have role models, because we are a little bit short of role models, but hopefully that's changing. What is our 800 lady? Prudence. You know, she could be a wonderful role model, but we've got role models in the room here who've done very, very well. And so, as I say, I think we must formulate a strategy. I'm happy to participate and work on that. We must recognize and mentor coaches. I hear that you must now put your coaches on the entry forms for the track, which I think is a good development. And we must try and give recognition to those coaches who are achieving. And I think we must also try and develop team competition within cross-country and maybe even on the track. Recognize clubs that produce a large amount of women who come on the track. So I would have an award, let's say, for cross-country for the club that has the most women participants, particularly in the junior ranks, because that's where the future of the sport lies. And then I have mentioned the twinning with other institutions who might be able to give support for female athletes when they leave school and then find themselves stranded. And I just want to talk about the fact you'll recognize at least 2 athletes there. I remember I'd been coaching for 5 years hard, and the young girl on the far right there, Alyssa Rebello, had worked hard. She was the only female athlete of any caliber in our club, and then suddenly a young lady came to me at Elfton Interprovincial in 2000 and asked to join the club. That was Lebogang Palulu, who came with Lebo, and then Priscilla Kubu joined. And what I'm talking about is if you work hard, sometimes it takes a long time, and then suddenly you break through. And then we had a cascading development of strong females. We had Violet Rasaboya and Promise Mtunzi and a few others who joined, and we became the strongest women's club in the country. Sometimes things work out for you. And then this is probably the highlight of women's track distance running, Ilana Meyer versus Derato Tulu. First black African woman to win a gold medal. Ilana Meyer, fantastic race. I was privileged to be in the stadium. And this is what we're aiming for, but it's a long, hard process. But if we actually specifically, intentionally aim for it, have programs in place, they might not all work, but if you keep trying, if you keep looking at various options, there's this principle called the law of increasing marginal gains. So it's a principle in athletics where if you just do everything just 1% better, you stretch a bit more, you might have better diet, you get more sleep, you just refine your program, etc., etc. Individually, it means nothing, but cumulatively, if you get an extra 2 or 3%, that could be the difference between winning and losing, between getting to the Olympics, winning a medal or not. And I think that's what we must try and do on a structural and on an institutional level in CGA. More and more interventions to assist women athletes, be it some of the things I've suggested, or formulating a strategy to encourage young women to have scholarships after they leave school, etc., etc. And individually, they might not make a huge contribution, but collectively, the impact can be huge. And sorry, I'm showing off here. This is I was in Japan in 2002, and I couldn't help asking Derato Tula for a photo with her. Sorry, I look terrible there, but I think I've got a very impressive lady next to me there. Okay, and then I just want to wish everyone good luck. And there's Alison Felix. And the point is, if you're coaching an athlete, you want to not only improve their athletics, you want to improve their life. So wishing you all of the best. Look forward to walking this journey with you, and seeing the fruit and the success on the track in CGA, at ASA level, and hopefully at the Olympics and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. You know, as Richard is talking, I just got reminded that one of the things that came out of the Paris Olympics was that the participation was 50-50 for men and women. And that was for the first time something like that happened. Now, as I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm the only one who realizes that that kind of thinking or that kind of approach is going to make us as countries and as federations to put more emphasis on gender equality in terms of participation, because I think there'll come a time where, especially for Olympics and Commonwealth Games, where SASCOC will request, federation to submit, a certain number of female athletes, and if we don't do anything about it, we are going to have a very big problem, especially with regard to athletics. Richard also said something very profound. He said a lot of profound things, but one that stuck to my mind was that 15 years ago, we had the likes of Lebo and Lebogang and Mapaseka, and he said he thought that by now we are going to have a very huge pool of especially black athletes. And what's going on? Let's engage. Where did we go wrong? I think time now is, we're supposed to have a short break at 12. It's 11:46. I think I'll allow questions for the next 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll take that short break for 10 minutes instead of 15 minutes. Let me start with Zongamele.
Okay, thanks again, Program Director. To be honest, from your side, we've seen this coming a long time ago, that there comes a time where we are going to suffer when it comes to female athletes. But our failure was not to close the gap back then. We were sometimes it's better to sacrifice the results for the shortest period of time and invest so that you're gonna reap the results for a longer period of time. So it was I won't say it was embarrassing, because we came back with gold medal in our recent held as a marathon champs. We had only one female athlete. On two. Okay, we had only two. Understand? So yeah, they were even veterans. So what you need to do as coaches and as parents is to give maximum support to a girl child. More especially in the township, we need to share the responsibilities, because some girls are working very hard. I think now we've moved to the era whereby even men can cook, men can do their washing. If you can try to share those responsibilities, imagine a girl child is tired from training. Then when she arrives at home, she's supposed to cook for the parents while there are brothers around there. So if there are brothers who have their sisters who are runners, they must please try to assist, because the glory will come to the entire family, not only to that athlete. And we need to allow these young kids to grow, like as coaching. We need to know our limits, because what is killing our athletics, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I can think, is these girls, when they are 13, 14, maybe they'll be doing well. Then when they are 16, this particular coach now is no longer interested only in coaching. He's got some other ulterior motives. Then if you happen to say that you have those kind of tendencies, please allow the young athlete to be taken by another coach. You can be that coach who can only coach an athlete to run 30 minutes in 10 kilometers, but you are not able to take that athlete sub 30 minutes. There is another coach somewhere else who can take that athlete beyond that limit. So if we can learn that, and we stop this element of entitlement as coaching, no, this is my athlete, and allow athletes to grow. And if you don't trust yourself, more as well now, there are these safeguarding courses to save yourself from trouble. Understand? Allow athletes to move on. No, I'll finish that. You're kind of intimidating me, but there are just few things, because this touches my heart, because we've been far, like in your era, like while you were still Athletes Commission member, we've seen this, but we failed to close the gap. Now for us is to think, how do we bridge this gap? Let alone this excuse that these kids are being taken by schools in AGN, some are moving to Stellenbosch. There might be some other means, understand, to run away from that and have our own athletes representing CGA. By having that, we'll be helping the entire country. Look here, the Athletes Commission is 4-in-1. There are 4 women here, and I'm the only man. That needs to be transferred there. Understand? How can we have more women in leadership, whereas in terms of making sure the results are happening is vice versa? Women need to exercise their power. You are more powerful than us, but it's such that maybe you don't realize that. What makes you don't realize that? You women, let me be direct to you now. You tend to have that put head down syndrome thing. Understand? If myself and Jogo have a problem, we'll go out over the glass of beer. Tomorrow morning we're okay. Then women, you have to keep grudges, and you can come with an idea, good idea, but one woman will say, no, if you start one, it's not going to happen. If we can just move away from that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you what I'm seeing, what is in my heart. United will conquer, more especially you women. That's why we have women committees. We need you to gang up against us men, so that this world can be a better world. Other than that, you will always be bullying you, Because we say, no, these are women. So that's what's going to take, Mr. Rich, this sport forward, more especially in women participation. There's space for them in leadership. There's space for them in coaching. Now they need space for them in. We need to feel intimidated when approach them, knowing that these are our people. So up until then, you will see that female participation, our young female athletes will grow not only to be good athletes, but will end up being good leaders. Thanks.
I'll give you time to respond, Mr. Richard. Queen, but there's women committees in place. We're not ring.
Good morning, everyone. And what went wrong? The leadership went wrong. And the danger of leadership, it's not just the leadership in sports, it's the leadership in the country. That is what went wrong. And I'm going to beef up my statement. If you lack leadership in an organization, you will have problems with school sports. You will have problems to have a decisive leadership that will understand that athletics will go beyond what the school calendar athletic sports says. Number one. Number two is, as we have a lack of leadership or a lull of leadership, sponsors won't come around. Sponsors are there. Yes, the economics are bad in the world, but no sponsor wants to sponsor nothing. No sponsor wants to sponsor an organization that at the end of the day, the money will go down the drain. That's where what went wrong. And because we lack leadership, the crime is high. Now, your little children, or the ones that you coach, if you are not there, they've got a safe home where they can practice. You then go to other places, other townships. You find a stadium where a girl child has to train. It's scary. It's scary even for me as an adult. Now, the difference is, however we stand the same chance of being robbed, I stand a good chance of being vigilant and can read the mood, and I cannot be there at that time. So that is what went wrong. The support, it is what went wrong because it is lack of leadership. If there is no donations, there is no support from other organizations, and the little that the federation has, because the federation doesn't have decisive leadership on what to do, therefore, those small organizations that needs to develop these children, they cannot develop these children. And you won't have a girl child, even if you wish. There's mushrooming squatter camps out there that has children, that has potential, but you can just do so much. Then you then have a lack of leadership that doesn't understand and comprehend patriotism of the country. Because for the mere fact that there's so much corruption, that person doesn't care. If it can, the little that they have, it can go to their pockets rather than the developing of the country. We've got good laws in this country. We've got good regulations. But the problem is the lack of leadership. That is where it's going. Then you then have the sports committee, the women's committee. Everybody lift up their hands. Even in the federation, everybody wants to serve. But at the time that there's a crunch that the work must be done, all of a sudden people are busy and nowhere to be found. That is what went wrong, the leadership.
Thank you, Queen. I'll give the gentleman, and I'll come back to you, but let me give the gentleman and allow Richard to comment, then we'll close off with you, ma'am.
All right. Okay. I think it has been touched to some extent. The one thing I wanted to come with is the issue of facilities. Umama Emuva has just indicated the issue of facilities that are not safe to use, let alone the lack of facility itself. One of the things that in other sports, again, including athletics, and Coach Spanji would be a witness there, we should be collaborating with tertiary institutions, Richard. I come from tertiary institutions in Johannesburg and also in the Free State. But they are all in the suburbs. And again, I'll use the demographic of South Africa. These universities established in white communities, formerly so, white schools are still having access to those where there is no other facility. We have a University of Johannesburg right in Soweto, which we can't access as Soweto athletes, especially those who are looking at coaching in track and field. We can't access it. University of Free State, at the point I was there, and we used to be able to access University of Free State. And in the recent years, it was also closed down to the community. So I'm saying those things are very important too. Continuity, Umama has also mentioned, continuity throughout the year. Let's have programs as CGA. The athletic season for schools is ending now. What happens with the rest of the year? Children are going to soccer, netball, and everything. And then those girl children that you've identified to run this year, next year she's not there. She's no longer interested, something has happened, the mother or parent has got something else for her. So we lose children in that space. And then the other one is the issue of training female teachers more as coaches, because again, we have a lack of female teachers who are coaching. And lastly, let us have an attitude right at the development level, Mrs. Piwe, of promoting the Olympic vision. Let us train our young children and think at the vision of Olympics and not at local. And that is what Mr. Zola has said, investing intentionally. That's what we should be doing.
Thank you very much. Let me take one last one, and I'll give Richard an opportunity to give his comment, and we can break for a short break.
Yeah. Thank you. Mine is a very short one, and it's a challenge to this country, the institutions, the corporates. The issue of sponsorship is making animal farm out of athletes. Those that have, continue to have. Those that are in need, continue to be without. So through the institutions, like the Central Gauteng Athletics, such a pity, the so-called SMT has collapsed, or whatever is happening with it. Once more, through leadership without vision. If ever we need to see the growth of sport in this country, sponsorship must stop branding itself through people who have achieved. You cannot say you are developing by investing in a developed person only. This is no statement against any of the achievers here in the room, but I'm merely speaking to the issue of through our institutions, let us channel the mentality of corporate South Africa to invest in clubs on the ground. And on the same vein, may the clubs also make sure that those benefits reach those that in whose name they have asked for those funds. And when I leave, it's not out of disrespect, I'm just out of time for a family emergency. I thank you, I'm glad I was able to make my point.
Thank you. But Emma Bill, Arsoj.
So I think the important point is that we must work together and adopt that multifactorial approach. Now, to respond to Mr. Jabeni, what strikes me is in my work and in athletics, I meet so many strong and impressive people, and particularly women, and I don't understand why men have this power. And it's because I think women, in certain circumstances, allow it. And I think it's a point of circumstantial change or societal change, historical change. I think we're still working through, but I think we do need to change our culture. And I think, as you pointed out, it needs to start in the home. The boy child who is not an athlete might be forced to do the washing, and let the girl child go out and train, for argument's sake. But the point is, we must link hands and work together on this. And on some of the other points, I agree on leadership, because it's all very well if Mike Simi is doing a great job, and Hans Seistet or Lungile Bikwani is doing a great job, but they work in isolation. I think we need to try and have more people who are given an opportunity to succeed. And the point is, those people probably succeeded against the odds. We must now create the odds in favor of coaches and structures. And I think it comes to leadership, as you say. If we can have the structures through leadership, and it comes from many areas of government and institutions in our society. I mean, to give you one example, we must be careful of the enemy within. And the point is, I fought so hard, I mean, some of you might know, to save the Wits track from becoming just a hockey astroturf, because it was a hockey guy as the head of Wits Sport. He also considered himself an athlete, but he actually then closed the Wits Athletic Club down. And I mean, for someone who is a proud Wits athlete, who was on the same team as a young man with Mark Plaatjes, worked with Hendrik Ramala and the whole Wits tradition, it's a tragedy. So I think we need to fight each battle. And I mean, I don't mean this in an aggressive way. We must work hard, because I've lost many battles. I probably, of 10 athletic battles I've fought, I've lost 9. But it's the wins that count. And I think it's about institutional change, and it's a chicken and an egg. The sponsorship, to answer the last question, will come when the perception of the sport changes. And I do get very frustrated when athletics is not considered a great sport. When Wade van Niekerk is probably the greatest sports person we've ever produced, period. I'm sorry, the rugby players and the soccer players, the cricketers will be happy. But I mean, we've got this kind of brand to sell. We just need to shift the bottle in perception from half full to half full from half empty, and change will come. But it starts with us in our structures. So I don't know if I've answered everyone's questions. It's a multifaceted problem, but I think the point is, if we have the intention and the desire to address the situation, the results will come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. And so far, we've had over 300 views on our live streaming on Facebook. And if you are joining us on Facebook, please send those questions, and our presenters will be able to answer them. Let's now take a... Okay, Sphere.
Two inputs that I did take from the floor, but then I also like to add and encourage athletes, on 2 points. We need more female coaches. We don't have a lot of female coaches. We only have a handful. And I believe that once we encourage our female athletes or senior athletes, female athletes, to also take up the role of coaching, it will encourage all of those female athletes to come up and participate, and not get lost or be lost in the system. The second point, you are right in terms of facilities that use track and field. Most facilities are in the white communities. But I beg to differ. We do have facilities in the communities. You mentioned of UJ. There's also Dobsonville Stadium, which has a track. There's also Hattersville Stadium, of which, the state of them, at a such things we need to jointly, CGA obviously will play its part on the provincial level, but then also the local communities, we need to task the councillors, to also assist and, hear the cry of athletics in terms of facilities. Yeah, those are the two inputs I just wanted to also echo. Thanks.
Thanks. Spiwe, let's take 5 minutes and we'll continue with the program.
need to know that we need facilities. And that is one of the most important things. In the country, we have 6 accredited synthetic tracks that we can use. In 2023, we had 23. That is a class 1. And we in CGA is very happy to have 2 class 1s. That is it is Gauteng. It is Germiston, Polditch, and then the others are class 2, like UJ. Their performances are also accepted. That's how I want to just start to say that how difficult it is to get facilities, and I have feelings for people who hasn't got facilities to train on. I have already spoken to this gentleman. But thank you very much for giving us the opportunity, the board, and Spiwi, and the commission, for being here today. Our rules and regulations always sounds like, oh, this is so tough, but it's actually not. If you read the rules and regulations and you do it according to the little booklet and things that we have already published in 2024, then you will actually see it's not so bad. There, I've put the track and field fixtures on there to tell you how many leagues we had, where we're hosting the leagues, and unfortunately, I applied for 6 and I only got 4. So, because of budget. But like everybody knows, so we had to put a criteria of how we're going to make use of those 4. Thanks, Apiri. Track and Field Commission will be hosting a compulsory track and field provincial championship. And that seems to be sometimes a pain with people. It is very close to the national championships, so we have to make it compulsory. CGA provincial championships, a closed championships, only for our CGA athletes who's licensed and got 2 valid numbers for 2025, which I feel is fair that we give our athletes the opportunity who has attended the leagues to come to the championships and come and try and perform to the best of their ability. Pre-entries only, please people, the late entries is causing us to have problems with the results. We don't have pre-entries because we just want to make fun of it. We're not. If you do pre-entries, it means that your name is going to be there and you're going to run. We have a lot of excuses. We can also can't produce the proper results because you come there, your name is not on the draw sheet. Now all of a sudden we've got to type it in manually, and we are doing a versus. And thank you. Championship fees are, for the championships, it's 40 Rand, because we got to get you medals. Spectators, we still stay with 50 Rand today. And our primary schools, who is not going to run, we not ask them for a spectator fee, we will lower it down to 20 Rand per spectator for minor kids that is younger, usually the primary schools. And the coaches, you will go in free if you're accredited to Central Gauteng Athletics, same as our officials. And then, I don't know if you've noticed, we have been doing training with our technical officials who did courses last year. They had to work a certain number of times and hours and at the different events. Then there's a thing that I've picked up. We get to a stadium, it's all so dirty. We have to get volunteers in the evening to come and clean, or in the next morning. So the ruling is, there is a rule that says no littering. If you litter on the road, you can be fined, or you can be disqualified. So I don't know why they do that on the stadium and the pavilions. So please, when your athletes come there, please coaches, please look at your athletes not littering, or when they leave, make sure it's clean where they are. And then there's another thing that we picked up is respect. I can handle a lot of non-respect, but my technical officials standing there from 7 to 7 in the day, they need respect, really. And if we don't do that, that is when the arguments between the coaches and the parents and everybody starts, because there's no respect between each other. And we can't always just expect a technical official just to yes and amen. Please don't let that happen to us. Club colors, during this year, we made the club colours compulsory when you do. You can't come there with a UJ top and a psychedelic tight. Looks like on the beach, and I don't know what it is. That is why we say, if you've got a club, you've got a license number for it, why don't you want to market your club? Your club has got you in there, you've got your number, it's giving you opportunities what the school kids don't get. If you've got your license number, you are great, because otherwise you won't be able to compete on the 14 or 15. Cell phones, earphones, earbuds, everything. You can use it on the call room, in the call room to warm up and whatever. As soon as you go to the call room, please put it in a bag, give it to somebody to keep it for you till you finish with the race. So that is also part of education and training for athletes. I've also noticed that they take their phones and then they take results, and then the results is not even finished, and then they send it out, and then they get cross with us because the results are not the same that they publish, because you took it before the final results. There are competition days. The competition, it will cooperate with the race walk, and yesterday I got a message that there will definitely be a 20K race walk. So we are working on that program. Our March 14 and 15, we're going to have our championships at University Johannesburg at Auckland Park. We are working on the program. It is all ages, plus under 23s, plus seniors. So you must expect a program, a full program over the 2 days, maybe from 7 to 7. Qualifying standards. The Commission will be using the ASA 25 minimum qualifying standards. And that is out already, and I think it will also show up on the screen just now. When you're going to be considered for the team, athletes must meet the qualifying standards of that provincial, at the provincial championships. The other considering to get into a team is the criteria. Criteria means we have given you 4 leagues, and what we wanted to do, actually it was 5, but we wanted you to compete at 3 of them. Because we have so much school athletics and they get injured, and then we've got to sit with athletes that is injured, which we don't want to take to the nationals, because I don't think that will be an advantage for them. We also not going to disadvantage the athletes, because there was one Saturday that we had rain and we had to stop the field events. We took it as automatically that you were there if your name was on the draw sheet. And if you don't, and if you have problems with your results that you think you ask Stone to correct, he will not correct it on the groups. He will send you a results history. There is a link that you can go in, and you can go and check your results what happened right during the season. Okay. Under 18, under 16, under 20, 23s, the national championships will be hosted over 3 days. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, dates 27 to the 29th of March. It will be at Greenpoint Stadium in Cape Town. They are waiting. It's a brand new resurfaced stadium. They are waiting for the accreditation from from Witwatersrand to accredit the stadium as a Class 1. Thank you. Then we've got a special senior league. I was questioned about this one a lot. On the 5th of April at Germiston, we're going to have a meeting for our seniors. That will be a senior meeting. So if our juniors go and compete there, it means it will be a League 5 for them, and then our juniors that want to compete there to still come and do their fitness test, and they will be all competing as or participating as seniors. There's no junior events there. Sick notes, doctor's notes, unfortunately it will be in the merciful hands of the selectors, which I see some of my selectors are sitting here. Seniors and combined event, national championships for our seniors will be on the 24th, 25th, and 26th of April, and that will be in Potchefstroom, and the province is ACNW. Transport and accommodation. This is a big headache. We do give transport and accommodation. But when you are selected as a team member, you will get a link where you have to say you do accept your selection, and then you have to sign the code of conduct, and you have to tell us, do you need transport? Do you need accommodation? Well, if you want my accommodation, you better come with the transport, because otherwise I don't have parking for your cars. Strict ruling, athletes and parents, coaches must confirm that they accept that they're in the team. We can't wait for somebody and then you turn up at the nationals and you haven't told me that I must still have your name on my team list. Then we've got to go run around and get your name back onto the team list. That's what I say. If you need transport accommodation, please complete the link. It's part of the code of conduct. Team management, team managers is approved by the commission and the board. Team coaches are nominated by CGA Coaches Committee. It's compulsory that if you are part of the team management, the coaches, you are supposed to be with the team. You travel with them, you stay with them, you talk to them, you hug them because they cry because they didn't make the final. That is what your work is to do. The management, the commission will do the admin, the rest of the coaches, we leave it in your hands. No private coaches will be on our transport or in our accommodation. Safety first. If I've got to send in a letter to say, these are the people that's on the bus, those are the people on the bus. If there's an accident and you're in the bus, unfortunately, we will not know you were on the bus, and then we're in trouble. The commission, it's me. The deputy is Stone, that's our one that always does our rules, our results management. Our additional members is Lebogang, Patsy. We have lost one of them, but you will hear that story once we have sorted out the issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maggie. That's Maggie Diggs. She said the commission, it's me. Me is Mrs. Maggie Diggs. Let me allow cross-country and road running to give their criteria and procedure, and then we'll take questions after that. For cross-country, Fal?
Thank you. Sorry, people.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Val Brentano. If you don't know me, I'm the chairperson of the Cross Country Commission. I just want to go through a couple of the rules and selection criteria for the team for this year. This year, unfortunately, we are only having 6 leagues. There are so many public holidays, long weekends, etc., that we've had to cut back to 6 leagues. So we have 6 leagues plus the championships. It's compulsory to participate in 3 of the 6 leagues plus championships. Championships are only open to licensed athletes, licensed CGA athletes. Selection criteria is that you have to have run in 3 leagues plus the minimum of 3 leagues plus the champs. You have to be licensed, and you have to have given in a form of ID to confirm your date of birth. And that is particularly important. It's important for the juniors for the year, but when you get to your veterans and masters, their age category can change during the year. We would then have you on our results as the age you would be at SA Champs for the whole year. So we need those IDs. Even if you have given it in before, You can give them in again. You will see on the results that it's always marked if you've given them in. But please, you need to tell your athletes and you need to keep an eye on that. Because when it comes to selection, you have a person who came in the top 6 and we do not have a proof of ID to confirm the age. It does cause a problem. So basically the top 6 at CGA champs will be selected, provided you have fulfilled the criteria of your leagues, ID, etc., licensed. We hope to be able to have bigger teams, but it's always a budgetary issue, so we'll have to see. That would only be confirmed once the team is selected. But the first 6, if you've done the criteria, you'll be in the team. Yeah. Also, like track and field, no doctor's notes or anything. They will be presented at team selection, but then it's up to the consideration of the selectors. The athletes who can't do their leagues, enough leagues, because they're either representing the province at a SA Champs in another road or something, or overseas internationally for the country, we will credit them with the league that they missed due to the duty that they're doing either for their province or for their country. Yeah, I think that's about all.
Thank you so much, Val. That was short and sweet. And now to give us the criteria, the selection criteria for road running, let's welcome Tate Mandla Khatebe, the General Manager of Central Gauteng Athletics. Why are you looking shocked? It's not me, it's Pio Urle, you will do it. Don't attack me, okay?
I think they should have started by saying an apology from road running. I'm not part of the road running. But I think when we got an apology, we felt that it's important for athletes at least to have a view of the selection criteria of road running. So unfortunately, I'm in Zulu, it's a dagger boy, you know. Wherever there are gaps, I'm just, without being told, I need to close those gaps. So I think I won't be that long. About 2 weeks ago, we circulated the criteria to clubs. So road running consists of a marathon, which is 42 kilometers, 21, 10, and the latest additions to road running is the 5 and a mile. So we'll have all those championships. For 2025, ASA has combined the championships of the 21, the 5K and a mile. It's going to be in Limpopo around July. So the criteria, basically it's based on time. I think one of the successes that we had this year was the idea of having marathon trials, which was consisting of 30 kilometers. We had it in the second week of Jan. It was very successful. I think the results is with the team that we've sent to Cape Town. We've got a national champ from that marathon trials. So it's based on the times. So the commission developed times for 30 kilometers, and it was only athletes that were looking at being selected for the national championships. And one of the things that I think in our engagement with the commission, we have stressed that these championships must be a standalone. Previously, road running will piggyback on existing races. And I think that as a province has not really worked for us, because you'll find that some of the races that they piggyback, like for example, the marathon team was selected in the Springs race in the Far East. And we know that not all our athletes will attend, that race. So I think these standalone races, specifically the marathon has been a huge success. In June, on the 14th of June, we will be doing a provincial championship. It's also a standalone, consisting of the 21, 5 kilometer and a mile. That will be held in Nasrec on the 14th of June. I won't go into detail in terms of the times. I think the information was shared with clubs. I won't go into detail, but each distance has got its own qualifying time. I know that when we go to 21, especially 10, 5 and mile, the commission prioritize junior athletes or development athletes. And I think it's a good thing for those shorter distances that they take more athletes. I know that there's been an outcry from some of the masters that they are not really selecting them, especially for those shorter distances. Please, you must understand that they are trying to push the development as much as possible for those distances. So yeah, I think in terms of times, as I said, I won't go into detail in terms of time, but when we circulate some of the correspondences from this engagement, we'll then recirculate to people that are in attendance today. Yeah, I think that's briefly the presentation of the road running. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And so far we've had about 493 people joining us on our Facebook live platform. Sorry, we have more friends than you on Facebook, okay? Don't say I'm not telling the truth. Okay, can we take questions for all of them, track and field, cross country and road running selection criteria?
All right, thank you. 2 questions for track and field. One, I've got overseas athletes that want to participate in the champs, wants to be considered for selection. What is the criteria for them for track and field? Because I know US they're doing indoors and so forth, but going forward in terms of ASA, those type of things, I just wanted clarity on that. What is the criteria? Right. Number 2, I had athletes that basically didn't have, I think 2 meetings didn't have what you call permanent licenses. They ran in temps. But when you look at in terms of the, let's say jumps and everything, they've done the minimum criteria. Last week they just obtained a permanent number. Would that athlete going forward be considered in terms of selection, and knowing the fact that prior they ran in a temp, but now they've got a, what you call this thing, a permanent number, and would that be considered? Those are 2 of my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your question. I don't know if I missed it, but I wanted to say the criteria for attending the meetings, remember we said 3 out of the 4. Right. If you had a temp, it means that your club may have not collected their numbers during that time. So that will not disadvantage any of your athlete, because they will be according to what the championships is, where they have a full license now. So what was the other one that you wanted?
The overseas athletes do have that they basically want to run at essays, for example.
Okay.
How is the criteria for them to be selected? Because what I've asked them to do was to log on the World Athletics website, their times and everything, and all jumps whatsoever, so they want to be considered.
Okay, if you look at ASA qualifying standards, I think Sipiwe's got it on the computer. ASA qualifying standard also has got a little note with that came in. There is going to be a lot of changes that you cannot select 10 athletes doing the 10,000 or 5 athletes doing the long jump if they qualify. We're going to use the qualifying standard. That is what is going to happen at the championships. And then when we do selections, if you qualified according to your standard, we will go into the criteria and see, did you meet the 3 opportunities you had to do a league meeting? Didn't mean that if you're a 400 athlete and you may just be late because of all the school events, they will come and run 100 meter. but they were at the leagues. So they were on your league program and on your computer, it will say league 24th January, 1st February, 15 February, 22. It will have a distance for an event. So when it comes to the selection, immediately will come up, yes, you did attend 3 of the league meetings. Doesn't matter what event, because if you look at, can I just mention an athlete, Kokemoer is actually a 400-meter athlete, and you know he's running very well, Leonard, and he came to our meetings and only did hundreds, and he used it as his speed work, but he was at the leagues. There's some of our top athletes that hasn't been, so I just want to say that one. So on that, there, it says that ASA is going to be limiting the number of athletes that we enter to the nationals. Don't know if they took it from the sub-youth, but anyway, there it is. It says there's a limit of athletes that the province can select in each event, and then we can look at the selectors committee will sit down. They talk about individual athletes. Now that is not something that I like, because I'm not going to give somebody provincial colors and other athletes has done the leagues. So we need to make sure that if we select the individual, another 4, it will be the qualifying standard, and they should have at least represent CGA's league meetings. So that, I think that is exactly what they wanted.
Okay, let me get comment or clarity from Mandla, then I'll come to you.
Yeah, I think my understanding of the question is with regards to athletes that are overseas. I think we've got one of the queries that we have received, which we are dealing with it. Unfortunately, the way the criteria is set up for track and field is that you need to compete in a certain number of leagues, you need to compete at the provincial champs. When you qualify, you then go to the national champs. And I think one of the biggest challenge, even at road, is that athletes do not communicate their plans properly on time. I think going back to road, that was one of the challenges, because athletes will go to Springs, run, and automatically you select them, they are in the team. But that was not part of their plan. So communication is very key from the athletes to the province. Even before the start of the season, you know the athletes that have went to overseas, what are their plans for that current year. Then you send it directly to say they will be able to compete in this one and that one. Then the commission will then engage, because some of the athletes will probably come at the nationals. But you can't get to the nationals before you meet the criteria, including the provincial champs. So I think communication is very key. We don't have answers. I think the commission, once you send it through, they will then look at those merits and look at what have they been doing on the other side. Just one thing on the road, I forgot that there's good prize monies in these standalone championships. So CGA has invested good prize monies as well. Thanks.
Yeah, I think Mandla has clarified, but the only clarity that I need from you, they are residents of the country. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Tate Sponchile kae?
This is the simplest answer, or it's not a question. I will ask Mandla that every now and then when they want to communicate with athletes, they must go straight to the coach, send the message to the coach, and the coach will deal with the athletes. Because this nowadays, athletes are just doing as if there's no one monitoring them, and we are there. Please, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, the issues that we have in the cross country on the championship, last year, we had a problem that the results were mixed up. So I'd like to know those people who were working in the finish line, who were collecting our stickers. Those people, they are the ones that are usually working on the leagues, or there are new people they were training on that day. So please, this year, we don't like to experience the same thing that we experienced last year. If you want to train people, you must train them on the leagues, not on the championships. And the other thing is, skip. Oh, the results of the cross-country championship. Normally, they will take 1 hour to get those results. But in these days, from the 90s until 2000s, we had a problem. We get the results the following day. So what's happening?
Cross-country, Val Prentano.
Thanks for the questions. With regarding the people that work at the stickers, those people are technical officials who are appointed by the Technical Officials Committee. So, but they are all seasoned people who work there. And there is no training on Championships Day for anything. And that's just how it goes. But there shouldn't be issues. Can I ask possibly if you reported it to anybody? That, you know, they could have had a look at what was going on, because it is an issue. I do the results, and I could tell that there were issues going on there, but unfortunately, I'm bound to where I'm doing the results. With regards to the results coming out, I admit it does take a lot of time. We're trying to invest in a new system for the timekeeping, but as you can understand, it's a lot of money. It could involve that the athletes have to spend more money paying out for chips to get accurate chip timing. So it is something that we are very aware of. And unfortunately, when the results get messed up at the finish table, the times that we get on the sheets don't correspond with the license numbers on the stickers. It does become a big issue because we capture by license number. So when athletes put the wrong license number, the wrong name's going to come up. And then we're trying to resolve those sort of issues before getting the results out. So I thank you for your comments, but it is something that we're very aware of and we are busy working on. Okay.
Thank you. I think, Mzazi, you're going to have to come to me. The mic is not going to be able to reach there. If you can come closer.
Thank you very much. My question is regarding the 10,000 meters. I see it's going to Cape Town. Is CGA going to select the team or not? Because as coaches, we need to know well in advance so that our athletes cannot run the championships, whereas they won't be selected. If they will be selected, is it going just, they are going to be entered, then they can go on their own, or what? We just need clarity on that so that we can know well in advance. Thank you.
Can I take this one before you respond, Maggie?
Morning, everybody. What I want to know is about the team that they are selecting to the championships. Why? Because this was happening now at Cape Town. There is no prize money of the team. And when we are going there as a team, we are going to fight to win as a team. So we want to know, we asking you to make it, to have that payment, to have a price of the team to push us, to make us to push together. Why? Because if you don't, other categories, they are not having prices, but we know that you are going there to make a team, and then after the team, if you win, we won the team, you're going to get a prize. But now there is no prize. Please try to make it like before, and then running for prize for the teams.
Okay, Maggie will take the track and field, and Mandla will take the road.
Gladwin, it was something that I spoke to Tipiwe on Thursday to book the venue for us on the 13th of March. Hopefully the venue is available for us. That because we also have the same problem with the hammer throwers, we cannot have hammer throw events at UJ. It's not safe, and they don't want to have holes in their landing area for rugby, Mr. Yoko. So we are planning for the 13th of March at Germiston that we do our hammer throw jumps, and then the 10,000 meters the 10,000. I'm busy with this walk coming up to the 10,000. We will want to start at 15:30 with the hammers. We use the same officials that will go, and then do at an hour later they will do the 10,000 at Germiston Stadium. It will give you an opportunity to be in time if we do it in the afternoon, unless there's anybody that wants to give us another plan, but that's the only date that we have, and that's the Wednesday before the championships.
Yeah, the road question was with regards to the team price. I know that at national level, they've also not been doing it like previously, where each category will have its own team price. They've tried to combine it. I can't really answer for them, because what they've done in the past is not what we had previously. They will combine, only give the team price for the open, and not give the team prizes for the VET, masters, and so forth. So I think it's something that we need to really raise to ASA. But at the provincial level, unfortunately, we do not have those team prizes. But I think I will encourage road, I will table it in the road commission so that they discuss it, and if we have to query it with ASA, we'll then submit it to the board and query it with ASA, and so that they give us the logic why they removed the other team prices, because it's only one now, it's mainly open. The other categories do not have the team prizes. Yeah, I think that's the question. I hope I've answered it. But just going back to the track and field question, I think the question was saying, are we going to be sending athletes to the Cape Miler? Mine is totally different. In fact, I've engaged with the commission to say, I think the logic, maybe coaches and athletes can help us. What is the logic of having your separate championships, national championships? Then one event, you separate it and you make it within another event. I think that's what we need to clarify. But CGA, when there are championships, we always strive to make sure that we are represented. The commission will answer that one, but my gripe was the separation of the championships, the 10,000. Is it because it's coastal? But those are part of the plans that ASA must make sure it's done correctly, so that it doesn't stretch provinces. You send athletes for 4 days, 3 days there, but you still have to do this special team for the championships. Because there was a question again, Road was asking, is this a road championship or a track and field championship? Because there's that confusion as well. But I think the question is valid. I think track and field will note it down. But my engagement was that let's query with ASA. Is it only because it's coastal and they probably want the athletes to run faster times, but they should have planned better, not just to separate now. Because as provinces, we plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have any more questions? Okay, I'll take one last one, and then we move to the second last item on the program.
Thanks, everybody. Ben here from Harambee AC. When it comes to the issue of the selection of the masters and vets, I'm not here, or let me just declare before that I'm not mandated to speak for the vets or masters. But this, sorry, this has been a recurring decimal that when it comes to the selection of the teams, we find that the vets and the masters and the grandmasters, really they are not being considered. That's one. Two is that one of the cross country. Let me just add saying we have open meetings when it comes to cross country. And then we plead with the clubs, coaches, and athletes to please attend those meetings. That's where such things they are being discussed there. Yes, I think that's all. I know zongs when it comes to the vets and masters. I think you know where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Quickly, last one before.
Okay, the last question that I wanted to ask, we're having issues of licenses. Some of the clubs didn't get their licenses, they went to other clubs. So how are they going to help us to retrieve our licenses? Because we found out most of the athletes have been using the same license for 15 years, so we can't get that license number. They already entered some of the races with that license number.
Okay, Fal, did you get the question from Harambe? Was it for overall masters or for a specific discipline? Or for road? The GM is representing road running today.
I thought the question was addressed when I addressed the categories. I'm not sure if there's a need for a response, but let me respond to Mr. Mafiga there. He's raising a very important, query, and I think we need to work together. In fact, I've been saying that to clubs. When you engage, like athletes, each and every athlete of the province is supposed to be registered on the system. We've got a www.cgaonline.co.za. All the athletes are supposed to be registered there. And I don't want to say, athletes that are here, if you can raise your hand and say, yes, I'm registered, I think there will be 1%. That's where the problem starts. Because that system will make sure that when you register on it, we are able to lock your number. No one will be able to order your number. And some of the clubs, unfortunately, they have not really been following the system, and they've not really submitted their order. But I think we have received your query through your club, and we are addressing it. But please make sure that you are registered on the system, and members of your clubs are registered on the system as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mandla. I'm sure some of you already had a training session this morning, and the smell of food is not doing justice to you. So we'll move now to the second last item on our program. And this one is about the legends induction, as well as the programs that are in the planning for them. I had to be intimidated like that, hey? Oh, my apologies, guys. Yo, I guess Lena, I'm hungry, eh? Oh, sorry, we actually still have three items.
Chair, if you'll allow me. I've just got one request here. It's very important that these matters are raised. I just pick up a matter that has been raised by Obabuma Umafiga and say apologize to an incident that occurred last year. I encourage clubs and officials and everyone that when matters emanate like 2024, let us not wait. Let us actually assist the people responsible to report timeously, because some matters can be resolved timeously. I speak to the matters of results. It's a very long issue to resolve. So if we assist us by immediately reporting that thing in writing, I think it will assist so that the responsible commission can maybe plan in advance. For instance, if we're having the championships last year, I think by now we should have a solution to the challenge that you have. But let us apologize on that matter. But you know, don't doubt your complaints. Just put it as it is, so that you can, you know, allow us to work with it. Our role is to ensure that whatever wrongs that are done, we work, you know, as and when it happens. So don't wait till it's late. Even the issue of the licenses, when the GM is sending these two clubs, this thing has been occurring. I remember an incident of one official who's saying, I've been running for 20 years with a license for comrades. He wants his license, he's demanding. We understand your language, and we are with you. Of importance is tell me, because now if you see, we are now in March, and we are almost done with the licenses. So it shouldn't be seen as if you are failing you. You know we have passion in what you are doing, but as and when it happens, please put it in writing. No more figure office and speak in Zulu, any other language. Our role is to ensure that we attend to your problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lale, for that clarity. And once again, my humble apologies. I almost skipped actually a very important topic, and that is the one of Athletes Code of Conduct, Protocol, Rules and Regulation. And to present that, I would like to call upon, is there a change? Oh, okay. The thing is, it was not communicated to me. Spiwe Mandla Zongamelo was asking about the criteria for the awards ceremonies.
Yeah. No, gentlemen and ladies, the criteria just that it's not only that one for the teams. As we normally have awards, Central Gauteng Athletics, there's a criteria also that for the awards. Understand? So it can be tabled there. You read, how do we nominate people to be the athletes of the year, female athletes of the year, all those sort of things, to avoid questions after the awards. Why that particular person was a female athlete of the year, other than that one. So it will just be projected there. You look there, say, okay, this is how we select for awards. Understand? It's besides the technical, other committees, they use their own criteria that is known for them. But for athletes, that is the criteria. It can be sent to the individuals just to curb this problem. Like we had a serious problem previous awards. Understand? People were querying behind closed doors why a particular female was an athlete of the year other than the other one. Understand? So there is the criteria. If you want, yeah.
Okay, the criteria is now on the slides, and it's on a point system according to different competitions. Please take note of that, and I'm sure the office will also share it with you.
Yeah, thanks. Just to highlight the point system that you have there. So your CGA championships, whether it's your cross country, track and field, those are the points. 2 points for the bronze medal, 3 points for silver, and 4 points for gold. Then going down, you have your nationals, which will be your SA 10K, 42K, half marathon, whatever national competitions. 3 points just to be selected in the team. And then obviously 6 points for bronze, 7 points for silver, 8 for gold. And if at all you manage to achieve a national record at the nationals, you get an additional 8 points. Then going down to the international meetings, you'll get 5 points for selection, 10 for bronze, 15 silver, and then 20 for gold. Then if you also better a record there, you'll get an additional 20 points. Then going to the African Championships, which will be your CAA, 5 points for being selected into the national team. If you medal there, 10 points for bronze, 15 for silver, 20 for gold, and 20 if you better the record. Then another one is the Commonwealth Games. I think also the Olympic Games, they're also down there. So it's 10 for being selected in the team, 15 for being in the finals, 20 for bronze medal, 30 for silver medals, 40 points for gold, and another 40 points if you better the record there. World Championships, 15 for being selected in the team, 20 for being in the finals, 30 for bronze, 45 for silver, 60 for gold, and an additional 60 for bettering the record. And then we have the last one, which is the Olympic Games. 20 for being in the team, 30 points for being the finalist, 40 for bronze, 60 silver, and then 80 points for gold, and an additional 80 if you better the record. So basically that's how the selection committee does the selection, as well as we tally up all of the points, and obviously from that we'll know who won and who came in the top 5 for the year. I think the selection year goes from beginning of September, end of September to beginning of October annually. So that's how we do the selections for the CGA awards. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Are we happy now, songs? Hey, but Lumpulai. Guys, I'm looking at the time, guys. Can I humbly request and suggest that we move, please, guys? I have a very difficult job of trying to keep up time, and I know some of you have other commitments, and we still have, I was looking at the time. That's why I thought we were actually there, Brenda. By no means, I didn't want to cut you out, okay? Okay, let's please now give to Brenda Maroling to give us a presentation on Athletes Code of Conduct.
Thank you so much. I will keep it short because most of it has been covered by Uspiwe when he was talking about the safeguarding course and the policies that needs to be developed. And it is a worrying factor that we are still at a developing stage when we should be at implementation stage and actually practicing. That CGA is a very old organization, and at this point in time, we should have moved on from developing to actually doing what's required. Granted, the sport evolves and there's new rules all the time, so it's more updating the rules than developing. So we will request the office to fast track the development of these policies so that at least they start being implemented at club level. I didn't prepare a slide or a presentation because I want us to have a conversation as clubs. The fact that we are clubs, some are 5, 10, 20 years old, and we still need to be talking issues of code of conduct when these things should be done. Even when a club applies to be a club at CGA, those who sit in those selection rooms need to then ask about all the policies for the clubs, and that would then include the code of conduct, or then the organization CGA through its program of empowering the club administrators. We also need to make sure that this thing happens. Unfortunately, we haven't had one GM in 3 years now. The training of your administrators. So I think that needs to come back, so at least it serves as a refresher course. But what is code of conduct? It is just one thing that is to clarify the behavior of the federation, the clubs, as well as our athletes. So we need to move away from issues of not doing things correctly. And earlier on, we heard how the culture and the values needs to change when we were talking about bringing forth the women as champions, that the culture has to change. And I think the culture of administrators also has to change together with those of the athletes. And it's also to empower members, athletes, and to be able to operate in an ethical manner that, we are talking about issues of gender-based violence now, and how as administrators and athletes do we handle that in an ethical manner? How do we behave ethically? So I think, some of these things, some induction of some sort will need to happen. And I think at this point, it's then where we will have to unpack exactly, when you say ethics, what exactly are you talking about? When you say law or practices or compliance, what exactly are you talking about, so that at least all the club administrators get to know. And I think most of these things are also covered in the safeguarding course that is free from World Athletics. So I would implore all athletes and administrators to really get their members to participate or to actually complete this course. It takes about 3 hours at the most if you're just sitting and doing it, but if you're doing other things in between, it could take you the whole day, and there is an opportunity to be able to do other things in between, and then you can go back and do it until you complete all the courses. So it's not a difficult thing, but it's very important that we all do it, because it speaks to issues of ethics and best practices, issues of conflict of interest. How do you deal with conflict of interest? How do you report if there is an incident between a coach and an athlete? How do you report? And we spoke earlier about, it being reported to the office. Is that the correct channel? Safeguarding says no, that's not the correct channel. It needs to be, but in the absence of us having a DSO, that would remain our correct channel, not necessarily the correct channel. So I liked how we also touched on the issues of vetting of the coaches, office bearers, and club administrators to make sure that, you have people operating at different levels with a conscience. With a conscience to know when something is not right, with a conscience to know when to report that something is not right, with a conscience to say, I can't do this. And if you keep quiet about something, then you are part of a bigger problem than the problem itself. So I think at club level as well, it speaks to issues of sort of like your elites or your development athletes that, will be supported by a particular club. And when they want to move, or they are promised one pair of shoes, then they jump, because then you are currently not offering that one pair of shoes. There's processes, there's a code of conduct that they would have signed that says, no, if in the event you want to do it, this is how you do it. There's issues of disciplinary hearing. Do all our clients and do all clubs, not clients, sorry, athletes and clubs do have a disciplinary committee within their clubs? What happens if some athlete or even an administrator is found wanting? How do we deal with all of those things? And I think the code of conduct will go a long way if we get to understand what it is, what it means, and draft policies that are aligned to it. I mean, we are still dealing at this point in time of our lives with athletes who still don't understand how to wear their permanent license. I mean, at this point in time, we are there, and what are the administrators doing? How is the coach educating the athletes, you know, and maybe it's for that reason that you find that we don't get a lot of these athletes coming up, and we're still relying on the Palulas who are veterans. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I'm just saying, you know, that at this point we still, Akani Simbine is still number one in our minds, you know. So it speaks to a whole lot of things that we need to, as clubs, as athletes, to do for ourselves. And then issues of rules, we touched a bit on that, you know, in terms of making sure that the pro elites together with the social runners, hey guys, the sport has been taken over by social runners. We can't move away from that. We can't move away from that. Yesterday, Cape Town Marathon announced that they are moving their marathon from October to May, and the social runners were upset because it affects their comrades, it affects their two oceans, you know. So it's more those that are not competing. They are there for the vibes, they are there for just for fun. And Cape Town Marathon is saying, hang on, no, that's not where we are. We still are on development, you know. And how then do clubs support that narrative? How do we support a Cape Town Marathon who says, we will have our race, you social runners can come, but this is what we are about, you know? So at club level, we also need to support all of those. Yeah, so, and it also then goes back to, you know, the CGA, the office, you know, to make sure that they enforce that these rules are followed. I'm not sure here who of the club administrators submit their financial reports to the CGA annually, as it's required by the rules of CGA, you know. So there's quite a lot of things that we need to unpack, and I think GM, we need to facilitate that educational program or workshop for club administrators so that we get to know, but also those that appoint or select or approve new clubs, you need to start doing things differently and make sure that, you know, we don't just find ourselves with new clubs coming up without them even understanding the simple of rules. So, and I think the Athletes Commission, it's geared up, you know, to make sure that these rules are followed, because we need to start operating at a professional level more than just at development level. I'll take any questions, if any. Otherwise, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Brenda. A very important topic there. I mean, imagine if everyone was allowed to do as they please. We'll see people running with license numbers on their head.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. You have touched on important issues. What will create a problem to all of us is this thing of making official and of making it normal to say social runners. You see, they get comfortable, and therefore with that term getting comfortable, it makes them want to do what they want to do. And that is scary, because then if they do what they want to do, a person will tell you, I will put my permanent license on the t-shirt that I want, and you won't do anything. Because you have labeled him to be probably less important in the federation than Palulas. Now, they need to remember, and I'm saying they need because I hardly do that. I get I get my conscience, even when I was in Botswana, I said, I cannot put a South African t-shirt. I have to put my club colors in Botswana. We'll talk about where I come from later. You see, it is that discipline that it must install in all our people to say, yes, you are social runners if you want to be called that, but you belong to Rome and you'll do just what the Rosary say you must do in Rome. Then the second issue is an issue of freedom of speech. Look, man, we are free to say whatever we want to say, but we need to be sensitive of what we're saying at a certain point. If the issue of rape is in the Hellam, everybody discuss about women being abused, everybody discuss about a woman being violated. I get very disappointed if one man will say, that issue has been there for the longest time, drop it, it's not important. I then ask myself, is this man born by a woman? Does this person have a sister or a girl child? Because we cannot allow things like that, and therefore, it should be the job of the federation when you pick up things like that, and if that person belongs to the federation, let's talk about it, let's school them. Probably they don't understand the implication of that statement. It's painful. I came across that statement, and I took it upon myself to say, please assist me. What are you saying? Probably I'm missing something. Because when a person is raped, it doesn't matter that person is 60, it's 90, it's violation of my private space as a human being. And a person that is raped, it's irrespective of the gender. It might be a man that is violated and still feel pain. And we need to talk about these issues and we need to correct them.
Can I take 3, then you can respond?
I'm not sure if this is for Sipiwe or for you. It's about the safeguarding and with kids. So I would like to give my children, my child athletes, a booklet so that they can understand, they can be empowered about safeguarding and what their coach is allowed and is not allowed to do to them, and their fellow athletes, or even any organizer. So I've been onto the site for the safeguarding. I haven't finished my course yet because I got to the second video and it hit me so hard what someone's not allowed to do to you. And I couldn't get past that place because I realized they're wrong. I didn't know they were wrong. I felt like I was in the wrong. So I want to know if the kids, I'm sure you're going to find kids out there who've been abused, whatever kind of abuse, and they've never spoken about it. They've not raised it to anyone because they're terrified, because they're told that they're the problem and they're wrong. I'm telling you, I'm an adult and I get terrified. Those kids are more terrified. So I want to know if there's a booklet or videos that we can show them, because that one video that I saw knocked me sideways. It really did, because it just made sense. It made complete sense. First time ever in my life. So I'd really like to know if we can give the kids something like that.
The office will respond. Brian, and then Brenda can respond.
Thank you very much. My name is Brian Tombela. I relate what Sis Brenda was just saying regarding code of conduct, but especially uniform, that people, they don't want to wear uniform. Bengcela CGA as from Monday, or angazi noma athlete commission or road running from lenyanga le kuyale benze sure ukuthi ba disqualify bonke abantu abangaqoka ama club colors, regardless ukuthi umjwayele or is your friend. Lawo bantu laba disappointed because ama club colors ahambelana nama code of conduct CGA. So ungabe uzoyiqoka uzogqoka iskipa sakho or whatever, sideleleka kakhulu singabantu abagijimayo umuntu azofika neskipa sakhe athi mina I won't buy I club kit because akekho ngivimba endleleni bengicela I-athlete commission or I-road running mina according to eclubini yami if ubona umuntu weclub yami umbuzo uthi ugijimela eclub engayigqoka iuniform ngicela umdisqualify same time iMalvern Athletics Club ngiyacela ngisho ukuthi ungazi kanjani uyamdisqualify uyamtshela ukuthi we will told ukuthi kufanele ulandele ama process kodwa abantu kade ngabatshela ukuthi abagqoke iuniform angifuni ukuthi umuntu azogqoka iskipa sakhe ngisho kuthiwa I-race ese-race uzosigqoka after uniform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very important issues being raised here. Regardless of time, we will try and cover them.
Thanks. I'll start with issues that are raised by Ntombela in terms of disqualifying athletes that don't follow the rules. One of the things that the Commission has been doing, and we did admit that we need to go back and do them again, to its fullest, is each one of us gets to attend races, and not running, but just to be there as observers, so that you are then at the finish. And you see, the behavior of these athletes, and with the technical officials, you can then say, but this one is not, and this one is doing it. So, the question is, do we have capacity? Yeah, I'll leave that at that in terms of capacity, limited capacity, I must say. But we try, and we've identified races that we would want to, and then maybe next year we'll do other races. So it's something that, yes, we are doing. And when I see one from your club not wearing club colors or wearing the license incorrectly, I'll definitely pull them out myself. And I'll send you a video of it, Mr. TikTok. And on sharing of videos and information, I think it's very important, and it's part of what coaches need to do, as they do run their programs, that, you share information, things that have happened. We don't have to reinvent the world, but we must learn from, the others and see and make sure that, we prevent such from happening in our shows or in our spaces. So I think, I'm not sure if the World Athletics videos are accessible, if you can buy them, or how you then get them, so that as part of the programs we can then share. Spiwe will advise, or the office will advise. On Queen's issue of gender-based violence, I am taking it back to you, my dear, Women's Committee. What the Women's Committee needs to then move away from just focusing on, when is Women's Day, the 9th? I really hate that. And sanitary pads. We need to start having impactful programs that really address these issues, programs that will include the men, because we can't be having a problem as women or caused by men, and then when we try to find a solution, we exclude the men. It can't be, so we need to start having impactful programs like that to deal with those issues. And I think on social media, there's protocols to be observed, and it goes across to everyone. If you're not happy about something, you must know the channel, you must know the office is there, you go and report. Don't start talking about it outside of the protocols, and then you expect to find a solution. I think we need to, as athletes and as club administrators, start working together. This theme this year was working together for excellence, and it can only be if we really, truly work together that we achieve this excellence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's a question at the back. I'll allow just two last short ones so that we move forward. I see the chairperson of Athletes Commission is yawning there in front, and I'm not impressed that there's only.
Thank you, Ms. MC. Once you start touching social runners, I'm getting angry because the social runners are special and you can't say anything about them because they are the one who are helping the province, especially when it comes to those athletes who are asking something. They are quickly to help them rather than the province, because from the province is a process. Social runners, if you don't have them in your club, it's fine, but let them come, they will help you. You see all the races here in South Africa, even international, they want advertisement from us as athletes. Who are those athletes? Social runners. They are there at the front, at the back. Don't bother yourself with them. They wear the t-shirts that are provided for that race, and they are sponsors. So if you don't want them to wear red all over the country when the race is 100 kilometers, how can you see that it's a toy from the social runners? They don't do, they enjoy it. Let them be there and invite them to your club, and then you'll see the happy and the beauty from the social runners. CGA, they can't chase them away. They do as if there is no conduct to them, but because we like them, there's a big support. And without social runners, your race will be run by 20 athletes called elite athletes. You won't get anything. There's no money. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Date Seme. But I think it was also important to emphasize that the rules and regulation that governs the sports of athletics, it applies to everyone. As long as you run, as long as you buy that license from your club or you're representing the country or whatsoever, rules and regulations apply to everyone. There's no special cases, unfortunately.
Thank you, Prime Director. I'm just giving an input maybe on the issue of video for children. I'll make an example. International Tennis Federation insists that coaches or clubs must actually, when you're doing children, there's 2 training courses for safeguarding for children, for youth. Both of them, they say, those children, when they are part of your club or your coaching, they must be given their training. So there is a course which they also make it available for children. As a coach, you have to direct your students into that course. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fezile. Brenda, closing comments as far as Date Seme's question and Fezile?
Yeah, I think there was a bit of misunderstanding in terms of social runners, and I think you did sum it up well, that irrespective of the category you belong to, whether you're an elite, whether you're a social runner or a slow runner or a development runner, you still need to follow the rules. The rules are there, there must be. You know, when it comes to like your APSA races or your total sport races, I mean, those are unique, you know, in their nature. But in the main, we need to enforce the rules. We need to make sure that the athletes themselves understand the rules. Because as clubs, how then do we grow? How do we attract sponsors? You know, a boxer or anyone, whether it's APSA or not, you'll find boxers wearing their club kit. You know, whether they will be competing for money or not, most of the time they are. but even if they don't win, but you know, each and every race, you find them wearing those club colors with pride. And those are the things that attract sponsors, you know. So if for an example, I take Tutumane, for an example, sponsored by a particular company, you know, and when they go and run these races, they are not wearing their club colors, which bears the sponsor's name. So how are you giving return on investment to that particular? And it's that prevents us from attracting sponsorship, because nobody wants to deal with a company that doesn't know and doesn't follow the rules. So I think we must look at it, it's a much bigger concept than just social runners. Yes, social runners have changed the space. Races are what they are because of the social runners, but we still need to enforce the rules and the law. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now 20 to 2, but also bear in mind that we started about 10-15 minutes late, so we're not doing bad in terms of time. Let me give one last comment from Mandla, and then we move to the next.
Thank you. Sorry. At some stage of the presentation by SS Brenda, I thought she was talking to clubs. I think her level is very high, because I've always addressed the sitting as athletes, so that you don't confuse. Some of the issues I know, they will overlap, they will affect you as athletes, but some really belong to clubs, because the rule of clothing will encourage you as athletes to say, please follow your club because you belong to a club. But the enforcer, unfortunately, CGA cannot enforce on behalf of clubs. Clubs must enforce the club clothing. There are some clubs that will tell me that, you know, they send people, their members, club captains, to races to monitor how their members are wearing their clothing. And if you are not wearing correctly, the club must deal with you. Unfortunately, we're expecting CGA, especially in road races, we're expecting CGA officials, even the commission, will not be able to deal with the numbers. Some of the road races have got 3,000, 5,000. The monitoring must be done by individual clubs. That's my proposal, Chair. Let's not try and cover the clubs. Your clubs that you belong to as athletes must monitor you and punish you if you are not following the correct clothing. But I think there's also another big side of it. And I think we've raised it, we've discussed it at board level to say some of these races, they are good for our sport. And they will, a simple thing as clothing, most of them, they don't follow it correctly. ABSA will want to advertise their t-shirts, and I think it's a balance that we need to discuss as the federation to say how, because if you look at those races, most of them, you'll find that 60% is temporary licenses. How do we bring those people into the sport without, because the rules are clear. Maggie will tell you, track and field, if you are using a temp, it's plain white. You are not using an ABSA red t-shirt. And I think those are the discussions that the club administrators, through the correct platform of CGA, must discuss with the CGA board. They must find a solution for that challenge. But for you athletes that are registered, we expect you to wear your club colors. If you don't wear them, then you'll be in trouble with your club. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that clarity, Mandla. I'm sure we are now on the same page. All right, allow me to move to the next item, and that is going to be the induction and introduction of programs that will be run by legends. Am I right, Tate Zongamele? And to do that, it will be Zongamele Jubeni, the chairperson of Athletes Committee. I've spotted some legends here. Fusin Klapo, Khidik. Bamutsebang, that's what he likes saying. Amuhel and Tate. Otokwana, my former hometown, Koval Triangle. I've also spotted in Tate Franz Chauke. Also my homeboy. Valley Roots is represented today, guys. You're good at adopting, man. Ratsamai. And also considered as a legend in terms of what he's done with coaching. You know, we know many athletes, some are still doing well, like the likes of Stephen Mukoka, under his mentorship and coaching, Tate Michael Seme, one of the legends. But let me not take away the job of Zongamele. That is Zongamele.
Yeah, we might as well. And I knew that was that was bound to happen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, again. So this is another topic that I'm so passionate about, and we once we come to the word legend, we know the legendary people. So some people come as far just to be here because they couldn't miss this. Understand? As much as I'm not sure about that, but I will ask the people that I will be calling just to stand up so that you can see. I won't mention everything that they've done, but you'll know that these people are legends. Understand? In their own right. Lebogang Palula. Lebo Palula. Lebogang Palula. Pagaman sing. They've represented the country in World Track and Field Champs and Olympics. That's answer criteria. So they meet that criteria. So and now they are semi-retiring. So they are no longer. Listen, can you let talk? If you are still an active athlete, if you want to be a national athlete, and then you can sit down, we demote you from being legend. You be athlete. So a legend is someone who has played his or her role in athletics. He's done well. Then when you are semi-retiring, but then you become a legend from a national athlete. Then that Sintlap has got 10 Comrades gold medals, I think consecutively. In athletics. And then Charles Gianni, stand up Charles Gianni. Charles Gianni achieved that by winning a gold medal. He's got several Comrades gold medals. Behind him is Franz Schauke. Can you please stand up, Franz Schauke? Yeah. Chauke sneak it in. He's got those who don't believe he's got a Comrades gold medal. Chauke, understand? So he qualifies by answer criteria. Okay, Chauke. Then Mpomabuza, you've done well. I can leave my commission behind. Yeah, also a legend. Then we are talking in athletics. Claudine Mzaz, we are still an athlete. Understand? Open athlete. So, guys, these are legends. There's a criteria that has been set by Athletics South Africa. I want Olympian, World Championships, and then Comrades Gold. That was the criteria from us. Because we are CGA, understand? There are people who did well, but they never had chance to go to Olympics. I want to represent their country. They never achieved that. So we cannot close it up only on athletes. Because behind these athletes, there are legendary coaches. There are legendary club administrators, understand? And they are passionate people. Like Michael Sponge, can you stand up? That's a legend. He has coached a lot of athletes who are multiple Olympians. Who are multi Olympians. We have Richard Mayer. At some point, I ran for Wanderers. Understand? We were going to go to the relay in Port Elizabeth. I was just rushed from Transkei. Then they needed 9 athletes, I think. Then myself and the guy called Silole Khodi couldn't make it. There was only one spot. He said we should travel from everywhere to UJ. Just the 2 of us to run 5,000 meters. The one who wins goes. If you don't win, no discussions. So that's one of the stories that that's a legendary man. Then you know the answer. I beat Silo. I went to be. Then our program director is a legend also. She achieves this, and she's also the record holder of steeplechase, national record holder for years. Yeah, so yeah, at CGA we decided to be inclusive. Understand? We are going to categorize this kind of legends because we are going to invite people as much as we can, so that we do not close some other people out. In order for this program to be a success, everyone should be involved. More especially if that person is a legend. And what is legend? You need to be exemplary when you are a legend. You need to be admired. Understand? You need to bring change in the community. You can win 10 gold medals. You can go to Olympics, but your behavior where you are from, if it doesn't suit the standard, you'll be like selling out our programs and what we want to achieve. Then we have visions. The vision is there's no federation like in athletics. Without the legends, maybe we're failing because we don't induct and set up the programs for the legends. These legends are supposed to be the records of any federation. If things were going out, actually they were supposed to have a seat, they were supposed to have a say into what is happening into our sport. But people, they say, no, once they retire, and we need to keep that. Once they retire, some people hate sports. I know one legend, understand, who said his son will never be athlete. The son is better go to cricket or to rugby, because athletics is a poor sport, understand. That person felt vindicated, and then now he's retiring. He thinks there's nothing for him to do. So this is the reason, as a Central Gauteng Athletes Commission, no, these people should come forward. Us, as federations, we set up programs for them, understand? We have coaching courses that are being offered. We have administration courses that are being offered. We have all the kind of courses. Legends be trained, understand? Those who want to train, be trained, either be coaches or be administrators, either be referees, whatever they want to do. And upon them achieving whatever they want to achieve, then we'll be able to deploy them back as part of development. In schools, we need coaches. In schools, we need coaches. Then that will form a good partnership, because we'll be saying we have these particular legends in this area. Understand? You schools, and this will go as far, and we're gonna go as far and involve government structures into this. If you go to soccer, there are soccer legends. If you go to rugby, there are rugby legends. Musicians, they have their own legends. So why us when I forgot to mention myself, I'm also a legend. Yeah, so why us when we retire, we're thrown away? We have no place to belong. Whereas we are supposed to be plowing back into our sport. So this is our visions. And we are not going to enforce anything from you guys. Then we're gonna have to have a broader meeting where everyone else will come with their views. Because if we say this is what you guys want, this is what we want you to do, it's not gonna be right. You have vast experience. Once you open the table, you'll be telling us that if we can do 1, 2, 3, that's how we can achieve. So guys, we want to involve you in our athletics. And we're going to as far as talking to our chairpersons of the commissions. When we have these championships, like on the 15th and 14th, as I said, we have CGA champs. We need to be lenient on you guys. I mean, this is a request. I'm not making any request. This is the request that we're gonna do. The legends, once everything is established, they must gain free entries into these stadiums so that they can go there and cheer people. We can run during lunch. During the breaks. We can run even if it's 1,500 meters. Entertain kids. They know who Charles Jane is. They know who Franz Chau is, other than knowing you on social media. Understand? So this is where this is the direction we want to go with these legends, because the sport has been hijacked. There are legends. There are people that are from Norway that we don't know. They call themselves the legends, and they are leading to their direction. the direction that suits them. And some of you find themselves reporting to those people, and you glorify them. Because you know what? You don't know if you are legends. You don't know the weight that you carry. So this is the plan, ladies and gentlemen, about the legends. And I commit, the Athletes Commission commits into these things. Everything needs to be structured. If there is something that is not structured, that thing is bound to fail. Luckily, you see, when you invite someone, then that person send you an apology. You feel respected. Like Gift Kelly was supposed to be here. He sent an apology. Henry Gramala sent an apology. Someone in Polanyana sent an apology. We couldn't reach out to all these people. Remember, at some point, Mr. Mayor, I had a conversation with you and said, can you please have a data all the legends that you know, because you know people. One day there comes a time where we'll have to use these people. So you can continue that one. It's very important that we have a follow-up meeting. Now we're not gonna let anything slide. So guys, this is what we've called you for. We have this that is lined up for you, as the Federation through Athletes Commission. Tomorrow we have a board meeting. We're going to sell this at board level, and trust me, it's gonna be a success. And one of your legends are suffering out there. Like one day it's very important that as legends, we meet up somewhere. Go visit other legends while they're still alive. Not wait up until some people are gone, then we think of them. We have some who've done good for this sport. People like Donovan Wright, people like Tulani Sibisi. They are where they are, battling life. When we have time, we need to meet up and visit those guys, understand, and remind them of how good they are. We have people like Abo Craig Sinkin that are doing very well in their own right. They are battling life. So as legends, we need to, at some point, as we meet with this, we visit our own legends as well to give them hope about these athletes, because wherever they are, they rather die running. They're like, it's all about running to them. So let us try to give back while people are still alive. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give back to you legends. Because we will hate the situation whereby when people are old, they hate athletics. And we go as far as try to make sure that people get dressed when you go to these stadiums. Understand? People will try. That's what I'm saying. We will try to make sure. But when everything is structured, let's go there and spread the word and say, guys, there's this initiative by CGA. You need to take this by both hands. Very, very, very soon, we'll have to meet, because by the end of this year, this should be, not even by the end of the year, by June, this should be up and running. Thanks, Leonard.
Quote, you don't know the weight that you carry as a legend, unquote. That the joke, Ival. To give us, is there any questions? Sorry guys, I seen Nakitlal. Questions, comments? As far as legends are concerned, that the Charles Gian, I didn't even recognize him because we are not too much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for CGA inviting us in this meeting. But what I'm asking, guys, at least try to save. What you're doing, you're trying to save our life. Why? Because those who are having an accident on the road is our sisters, is our brothers, putting an earphone on the head, running against coming traffic, wearing dark colors. So I'm agree with you. If this is happening on the race, it's better to point them. Why? Because life, safety first. And then other thing, it's painful to win the race. After the race, you find that prize money, you can't buy a shoes. The shoes is too expensive. please talk to those organizers or those who are making the race, at least to make prices be better. Our brothers, fellow athletes, they are trying to improve their standard, they are trying to train harder, but you know how expensive is racing or running shoe. This race and registration, how much is it? Please, guys, try to fix that thing of prize money. Thank you, bye.
Spoken like a true legend that he is. Thank you so much, that day, Charles. And now for closing remarks and vote of thanks, I would like to call upon CGA board member, that day, Mfuneko Boyisi Joko. I want to get over your ID names.
Thank you. Thank you, Program Director. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Chairperson of the Commission, you must not be scared to commit resources to matters of athletics, and you must say it here. This is the platform to say it. That is why we are here. We are here for the athletes. Earlier on, one of the speakers spoke about ensuring the well-being of athletes, that it is being prioritized. So when you speak to the issues of legend and where resources will be needed, you must speak. It's important that we take care of these legends. If needs be, they must dress nicely when they attend CGA events, be it camps, be it talent ID, any other premier event. It's a very, very good program that you and your commission are embarking on. But let me take this opportunity to thank the commission for the wonderful work that you have done, for allowing us this platform to continue to engage in matters that are affecting CGA for the betterment of CGA. What I like about this program, Msut, is that they interlink. You remember on the 8th of Feb, we had the managers workshop, and one of the key points that we highlighted there, once again, was the interest and the importance of taking care of our athletes whenever they're going out to represent CGA, even at home. Once again, it is coming back where we touched on the code of conduct, the rules and regulations. Let me also take this opportunity to thank all our presenters who gave us very good and informative knowledge. We appreciate everything. Richard, the acting president spoke about working towards excellence as a team. I think we've shown over a number of times that we are on the right track. We need not to drop the baton. Let's improve and work together. We appreciate to see the likes of yourself being involved, and whenever you are given a call or requested to come and be part of our program, you always hit that call. The presentation on safeguarding, I think that was a very emotional and a touching subject, which I think as this federation we really need to punt more each and every opportunity that we get in these forums, in different forums. We need to emphasize the importance of safeguarding. I think we are at a stage where we need to be more sensitive, more involved, and more proactive in as far as taking care of a girl child. Also, another speaker went on to speak, I think it was Richard, went on to speak about the female athlete participation. Obviously, you could see that there is interlink between safeguarding and female athlete participation. Indeed, if we continue to give support to female athletes, there's a lot that we can gain. Richard did touch on it, that if you have more females being active, chances are your field is going to grow. We really need not to drop the ball, Chairperson. And if there are programs that speak directly to the well-being and the support of a female child, we really need to put more resources into that. It's very, very important. Otherwise, we are going to have a challenge on our shoulders. I cannot overemphasize the importance of understanding how the selection is done as presented by Omegi. I think these are ongoing points that we need to continue engaging on, so as to remind ourselves to be within the framework of ASA, of CGA, whenever we are selecting our teams. That speaks also to the conduct. We did touch on it, and one of the points that I raised in the previous, or rather in the last session of the managers' workshop, as this growing tendency of athletes when they're going out as CGA team, some are going by the bus, some are going by individual transport and whatnot. It's an element that we also need to manage. As much as we've got to give that flexibility, but it needs to be managed, because somewhere it does tap into the good conduct that we want to continue teaching out there. You'll find that some or two athletes are not part of the meeting, or rather of the team briefing. So those kind of things. But my job was just that, to thank you, the attendees, for your contribution. I'm sure I was the only person who did not speak here for the entire session. We do appreciate, on behalf of the board, your participation, your engagement, and we are learning also. We are learning as we're going forward. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the office led by the GM for their good work in terms of administering and ensuring that we have this kind of session, and also the GSC office for always availing this venue whenever we come up front in requesting that. Over and above that, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think one of the slides when Uspio was presenting, I was tempted to highlight the work that we have conceptualized the CGA board in ensuring that we incentivize athletes that participate in different competitions outside the country, or rather that are representing South Africa from CGA. It's one of the ways and means of giving recognition, Chair, to our athletes who work so hard during training, preparing to go for competition. As Pio was giving points there, or rather highlighting what are the points that we follow, I was tempted to say there is somewhat an incentive that is attached with it, over and above the awards. For instance, we had a very good send-off for our Olympic athletes, wherein an incentive was attached to that. If an athlete is selected again for the World Champs coming from CGA, we look at those points and say this is due to this particular athlete. We do appreciate, Ndade Charles, those kind of comments coming from you that look into these issues, the issue of prize monies when we are engaging in road running open meetings. These are some of the issues that we continue to bring up, to say, let us ensure that whenever we determine the price for our race, we do take into account that there's an element of reasonability and fairness. Other than that, to you, Chairperson of the Commission, thank you once again for opening the door for us and for the sterling work that you have shown us. We see the progress, we do appreciate. And to everyone else, as indicated, thank you very much. There's one very important person that I almost forgot. One of our own, a product of CGA, who has been with us for as long as I can remember. I first saw her doing some commentary at the Pick and Pay events, doing some announcement. Tebogo, thank you very much for always availing your services and assisting us in ensuring that we groom and present one of our own, and a female. Thank you very much.
Okay,
That applause, ke ya ka hore ke- I'm just joking, guys. That brings us to the end of our program for the day. Thank you so much, Ndate Boise, in the office. Always appreciate calling me, and I love it because athletics is a passion, and once it hits you, it never leaves you. Lunch will be served on my left, your right. You are welcome, and please drive safe home, and God bless. Thank you to the Athletes Commission. Oh, and goodbye to those who joined us on Facebook. Sorry, guys, we can't share the lunch with you, but thank you for joining us. Bye.